Instagram people, thank you for tuning in, and they have the audio, so which is great. And we're on YouTube. Hello, YouTube folks, for tuning in. Thank you so much. We're watching this later. Through time and space, we're transmitting to the future. And now, isn't it marvelous? And then we're going to be... It's magic, right? It's fucking magic, I think. You know, we're capturing photons and, electricity and audio and all this stuff and sound waves and then, like, transporting it to the future. Yeah, talking to the microphone.
It's matter, bro.
It's matter magics. Magics matters. Magic matters. All right. And now we're gonna start. So now we're gonna start doing the audio. Okay.
Cool.
So
Great.
yeah. Okay.
You ready?
Yep. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in today. I have Isaac Patrick Jolly is how I know him, but now you are being known as Tommy from Joystick Holster. This is a new persona. So we're going to probably oscillate and alternate between calling you Isaac, who that's how I know you, and then I guess the new persona Tommy. We'll talk about that.
You can call me anything you want.
Just don't call you late for dinner. our old boss used to say that. Call me anything you want. Just not late for dinner. So we know each other, just to give context to people watching on Instagram, YouTube, or listening on Spotify, Apple, all that stuff. In 2015, well, Crooked Vines kind of started 2013, 14-ish, depending on what you call. But our first album came out in 15. That's where we were playing pretty consistently. And that's where we, I think, first met you when we were back in the old BMC days, actually. When Balcony Music Club here in New Orleans by Frenchman Street was... James, you're looking at a bunch of stuff. Everything okay with all the things? We're about to find out. So, anyway, or if we need to start again, we can. So, so Balcony Music Club had the stage was on the opposite where it was now. The stage and the bar were reversed from what they were now. So that's when you started coming around. And so tell us about some of the things you got going on. We know you from the Mister, which is the Mystery Renaissance Period band.
Modern Renaissance Period.
I'm sorry, modern.
Yeah.
Was it ever mystery or was it always modern?
I think it's always.
I'm sorry, modern Renaissance. I'm sorry, modern.
I think there's always been a mystery to people, but now we're unveiling all the mystery. We're taking all of it off, and everyone can see everything. There's no more mystery.
That's right. So I'm sorry, the modern Renaissance period. Okay,
yeah.
And now you have something called Joystick Holster, which is under the umbrella of that.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. So what's this Tommy thing? Why Tommy? What's that?
Well, it's funny because it's like, like people see it, you were saying like a new persona. And like it's cool because it's more so of like more of who I've always been, not necessarily like the reason why I've chosen that name. It's because I've always been like the little shy little lover boy. I'm always falling in love. Go to school. It's like you fall in love when you're in school. And in the fall it starts, and it just happens, and you have all these seasons of this stuff. And so now it's like I had this whole thing. With the local scene boy, I just loved him to death, still too, and it's like a whole thing it's gone down. It's like we've been following the drama, and so I remember.
Scene boy?
Yeah.
On
the same scene. Yeah. Because you know me, I go to all sorts of shows.
Yeah,
that's and I'm just like how I met you guys. And
well,
so,
to give a little more context to the listener too, you're a singer. And
I'm a performer,
a musician, a guitarist, performer. I'm sure you play
multi-instrumentalist.
What other?
I just whatever I'm very expressive. Like now, simply like how I've come to the name Tommy and everything, and doing Joystick Holster, which is just a little 3-piece punk rock and roll band. It's more about being simple, back to just pure getting to the pure person of who I am. So it's like now everything's like that. So Tommy, the whole name came from the band he's from. It's like the front guy. His name's Tommy, and we met at it was Circle Bar. I'm acting like I don't remember, but I do remember. So it's like
R.I.P. Circle Bar.
Yes.
Yeah, it's gone now. Wait a second. You're talking about another person. When you say Tommy, you're actually talking about
so
not you in the third person. You're not the Royals. You're talking about somebody else that you met.
Well, so the name came from his band, who I followed for a very long time, since like almost the very beginning. They were like kind of rolling up. They were like going for like the super, the industry, kind of we're doing it, which is cool because when we first met, I saw like a lot of myself in that, because I've always been the same way, very serious, and I, putting the unit together and having a solid plan on how we're gonna, get this thing, going very quickly and being very successful. And I was very stoic when we met, so I was very quiet. You remember because you saw me when we met in 2015. I was very vibrant out there. I got my hands dirty. I was just like I was kind of loud. I was that funk guy on stage.
That's true.
You remember this, and then then you saw like maybe like in 2016 I got very quiet. And I didn't make eye contact with anybody mostly, and I would only speak when I was being addressed to. And if you would ask me anything, it doesn't matter. I felt like I needed to answer you, and it's like, and I always was very truthful. And that's when I met Tommy. And it's funny because we went through this whole thing, and then his band finally they got on the road to moving to LA. They're like on like Mage type thing, major label type stuff, and so it was really big. And then like so it got sour because they were working really hard. And things kind of went south at the last minute, right when it was time for the label to move the band to LA. And so
what band was this?
Lip Candy. And
I remember that name.
Lip Candy.
Yeah.
Perfect.
They were local?
Yeah, very local, baby. That's like
And they were about to be signed?
Yeah, like the whole thing. Like it was like yeah.
It was like indie rock kind of surf rocky.
Surf rock.
Yeah.
But yeah, very indie rock type thing,
Cool. I don't remember.
But it was like
Kinda
indie rock on
remember.
like kind of a pop kind of like appeal.
Isn't that funny? Like I'm like, oh, I don't really even remember them, and it's like, no, they were almost got signed to a label. Like
you also
how
don't remember
fun-
people you went to college with, Steve.
That's 100% true. Yeah, that as well. I don't. Yeah. I mean, it depends. We had a lot of fun. I've had a lot of good times.
That is true.
You saw me on Friday, James. I got fucked up.
You really do get lit. You get so lit. Like you're like you get
Isaac knows.
you get like sweaty drunk. But it's great because you're not like you're not like out of it. It's like you're having
Isaac
a good
comes in
time.
and speaks the truth.
Exactly.
when he's addressed.
When he's addressed, exactly.
What?
I have no choice.
Sweaty-
If you
Is that
ask
true?
me, I have
Is that
to.
true? Instagram? Do I get sweaty drunk?
You do.
You too?
And it's so great because you're not. You have your wits about you. You're just having fun.
Thanks,
You're
kind
you're
of,
completely alive. It's great. Like the
I
album.
do. I'm very in.
like-
I'm very in it. You're right.
It is great.
Fucking sweaty
You're having
drunk.
a great year for sweaty drunk. You're gonna get you
Awesome.
a T-shirt.
I am also a self-proclaimed sweaty drunk.
You're
Yeah.
no,
my
you're a
God.
sweady
Remember
man.
Felipe's?
All right, you're a sweaty man.
I don't know
think
if I
it was a
remember
Cinco de
Felipe's.
Mayo. I ran into you at,
Oh, maybe.
at Felipe's, and
Very
you were
possible.
wasted.
Yeah.
And
Very,
I went in there too.
very possible.
That's the only time he goes to.
We hung
possible.
out a while because of that. You were already like on your thing.
That is very possible. There's been a few times Mid-City Felipe's.
I was gonna say, yeah, which Felipe?
Which
Yeah,
Felipe's?
no,
Mid-City
no,
Felipe's?
no.
Downtown?
Oh, the one-
Downtown.
yeah.
Then you were definitely
Like
wasted.
Decatur-
No
like
one goes to
Decatur.
downtown Felipe's unless they're drunk.
Well, I used to go to downtown Felipe's consistently if I was like working down there. I was like trapped down there or stuck down there doing something and just like not leaving. It's like the go-to spot
Right.
because it's not like downtown prices. It's Felipe's prices.
yeah. No, it's great. I've been there a number of times. Exactly, in between gigs or something, or coming.
I
from
was
one
a
thing,
bourbon
yeah.
boy, so I would do that because it was like convenient for like the street, and plus I was also going to like H&M and all that stuff, so
yeah.
it was like right in the area. And for Cinco de Mayo, I don't remember exactly what I was doing, but I know I ended up there and we ended up hanging out because I ran into you.
That's
and
very
you were
possible.
You were sweaty drunk that day.
I
I'm not
very
even
well
gonna
could have
lie.
been.
You were.
I don't have any recollection of this, so yeah.
We'll take his word for it.
I'm like, oh yeah, but what happened?
Okay.
With the Tommy thing. Good
Yes.
grief. So they like bad news happened and they weren't gonna like they were literally taking flights out to LA doing photo shoots and all sorts of things because like the label people were actually getting them ready for this whole thing. So I'm there. I'm super supportive because I've always been that way since the start. And man, it was crazy because it was like bad news for them, but they still had this music video shoot that they were doing. It was like a house party. It's like the most epic house party. Actually, I shouldn't say. I'm gonna save that. But no, so it was like this epic house party, and it was a music video shoot at the same time. And that was actually the last time a lot of us saw each other. Like that was the last time we saw each other. And I remember at the end of the night, we were he was saying bye. We were all saying bye, and it was the first time I never called him Tommy before. I was just I called him Thomas, and we were cool. And I remember he was like he was just kept talking about the first time we met because it was just crazy how we met at Circle Bar. Like literally, I was the only one underage, and there was like it was a few bands playing, and Circle Bar was packed. Like this is a real scene show. You got all the scene kids there, and it was packed. And as soon as Lip Candy goes on, the bartender just made some arbitrary decision. He was like, "Okay, if you're under 21, you gotta leave." And he was serious. Like so, literally everybody except me. And this is back when they were like really trying to get the band.
What year
going.
is this?
This is like 2018. Had to be.
Wait,
like
how old were you when you came to New Orleans?
Ooh, and it's funny. I've been like I stopped aging after like during college. I'm like I never left college. How old was I then? I can't do math.
How old
I
are you
had
now?
to be. I'm like age-wise, I'm 30,
Oh, okay.
but it's like I can't count, but we can do. You guys can count. It had to be like 24 or
So
something.
you weren't underage. Wait,
I wasn't underage then. No.
Oh, okay.
Everybody else was.
Oh, I see.
So
I
everyone
understand.
was kicked
okay,
out of the
I
bar.
I was confused. I'm sorry. For a second, I was just like, "What the fuck?"
And this is
Hold
during
on.
and this is during the time where I was very stoic and I didn't talk to anybody.
Gotcha,
So
okay.
it was like a bigger effect because you got this quiet guy.
Mhm.
But as soon as the music starts, you
Yeah.
know how I am. I'm
You go.
exploding.
You go
yeah,
for
exactly.
it. Yeah, you're dancing.
So
you're
you,
in it. Yeah.
imagine this. You got this 3-piece
Uh-huh.
band, young boys killing it. And when I say young boys, I don't mean like babies. I mean like they were like, it's college kids killing
Yeah.
it. We're all college kids killing it. And it's this crazy show raging off, and they've always had a lot of energy. And I'm just like demolishing this place. And it's just me, but then it made it feel like there
that's
was
funny.
like a whole thing happening. So it was like,
Yeah.
it was a bummer that everyone got kicked out. They were just outside.
See,
not
I
seeing
thought
the
I
show.
remembered Circle Bar being an all ages bar. Was it not?
It depends on who the bartender is, apparently. That's what
Gotcha.
I mean. That's
Yeah,
why it was even
I remember
more
it being
like,
one of the few all ages spots because you
exactly,
could
'cause
get.
they got in, and there was
Yeah.
always that cool guy at the door. If it wasn't Freddie,
Well, there
it
was like
someone
it was like a
else.
wristband situation
and
where
they
like
were just
anybody underage got
underage.
banded, yeah, or something.
Like literally, the bands that were playing were underage. That's the point.
Oh, that's so weird.
Well, yeah, I think. Well, I never played a show at the Crooked Vines until
Just-
after I was 21, so that wouldn't have been a thing. But some of the early shows the Crooked Vines did were at Circle Bar.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, we played
And
there. I remember.
I mean, I
emailing
know
Jerry
there was
John.
underage people
Spot.
coming because
Yeah.
there was people that were the year or 2 years younger than me that were kind of my freshman class
Yeah.
because I transferred into Loyola. So there was plenty of people that were coming that were underage, and I could have swore it was like an official bar that you could do 18 plus.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, Circle
Yeah.
Bar was a scene. It was
Exactly.
really was
It
a
was.
really cool scene.
It was, but an unusual location right by Lee Circle. Which what do they call that now? Harmony Circle.
I believe it's Freedom Circle.
They-
Yeah.
It's
free-
great. I love
something.
it because it's like the Dukes of Hazzard. It's like going on outside, and it's crazy because if you watch, the remake.
the
I
movie
forget-
Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
Oh,
that
with Jessica
remake.
Simpson.
Yeah,
I remember
so
that.
they do that, and there's
And
a
Ashton
scene,
Kutcher, I think. And, I
and
don't
then
know.
there's this scene where they actually film in Lee Circle, and
Yeah.
they just
Oh, did
place
they?
it. They just place it in Hazard. So they just place
Oh,
it
I
there.
didn't know
So
that.
it's like while they're driving around. No, they were in Atlanta. You remember they were driving around in Atlanta.
Oh, I haven't
And
seen
then
that movie
randomly in the
since middle
scene,
school,
they cut to Lee Circle
Uh-huh.
because they have General Lee there. So they have so
Oh.
technically, so it looks like that whole thing.
Yeah.
It looks like the Lee Circle is in
Understood.
Atlanta
Well,
in the movie.
I need
Yeah.
I need to correct myself because Steve was correct. It is now called Harmony Circle,
Harmony
okay.
Circle.
Thanks.
Harmony
I wasn't
Circle,
sure. I kind
which
of
actually I kind of like better.
I like better too. Yeah,
Well, it had
Freedom,
to have
Circle.
meaning.
Harmony
so
Circle's
that's
a
what
better
they were
one.
trying to. That's what they were
Yeah,
reaching.
Harmony's great. But anyway, the point is that's an interesting kind of like turnabout.
Harmony is great.
Harmony is great. Yeah, it's awesome. So is
For.
Melody.
Everyone was fighting over it, so they just made harmony. Of it. They made harmony.
No, but just to give people context who are listening who might or might not understand, yeah, Circle Bar was right there on St. Charles as you entered Lee Circle going towards downtown.
Right.
and it
Parades
was
going right through.
Yeah, well, depend if that was the time of year.
Yeah.
So, but it was kind of like an odd place. There was like weird parking. Like it was an odd location for a venue.
And it's
I
a
think.
bloody house. That's what my favorite part was. It's like a house party, but
Oh,
it's
yeah,
an
yeah.
official venue.
Yeah, it was kind of
It was
like
a
a
house.
house. Yeah,
Like
or
you'd
it
have
used to
all-
be a
you
house.
have
Yeah,
the
for sure.
the World War II museum. You have all these corporate-looking buildings.
Yeah, and then you have
and,
this
all,
like
and then you have a house, and it's
it's
a
like
music
Adams
venue.
Family looking house
And the bar.
looking thing. Yeah.
Exactly. It looks
Yes.
like the Adams
Yeah,
Family.
it was like it's pretty weird, but it's a shame that's gone. But yeah,
Yeah.
these places that are scene makers are
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but that's what. Yeah, that was the first time we met, and so the last night, like he kept bringing that up because that was like the magical,
mhm.
moment where it happens. Because we knew because he's very headstrong. That's what I love about him. He's so headstrong about things, and I've always been like that. So for when I have a different kind of thing about my personality, which is why I turned away from it from my personal stuff, but
Mm.
it's kind of flipped around now. But it's working for me to
Good.
get the same goal.
Uh-huh.
Without being so headstrong. But it works for him to be headstrong. That's just like his
So
personality.
you're talking
So
yeah
about about the whole Tommy thing, where the name came from.
Mhm.
So well, anyway, that night while he was leaving, he was like walking off, and it's like the most like 2000s white girl scene thing happening,
Mhm.
in the movies, and he's like walking off, and I'm like, and I just had this because I've always been so stoic after because that's how we met. So
Mhm.
it's like I'm just like being, I get what's happening, so I'm just gonna make sure I don't like. I'm very strong about everything, and it's like I support it, and I know what we're doing. So
Okay,
it's cool.
so he's walking.
But anyway, he's
yeah.
like, and I called him Tommy, and he just turned around and looked at me because I never called him that before, and it's the way it's the way I said the energy that was in it.
Mhm.
And so, and I remember there was this whole drama when they were gone. Like I finally broke at some point after like so many, like how long it been since he'd been gone. Like I love that whole thing. And the contact was a little weird, and it was just a lot of stuff going on.
Okay.
And so yeah, but anyway, so I got mad. I was raging. I was like, all the emotions came out, and I was like, I'm gonna take the name back. I'm giving it to myself. And then it's like I started doing that.
Oh.
Yeah, and then things got everything's because it was a part.
Wait, to contextualize, so you had like a friendship or with somebody, and you gave essentially a nickname, and then the relationship became somewhat fraught in a way, and then you took back that nickname for yourself. You just liked it. You liked what it meant to you. Is that what we're kind of getting at?
And I was being like a little baby about it. I was like, because he loved the name, I did too, but it's like because of how strange things started to feel. But really, it's because I never really got to express or even look at the fact that I was broken inside from the whole thing.
Okay.
From the move, because I've always been so strong and stoic about stuff, and just because I have wisdom to know that what's going on, I need to function as this. In the situation. So like finally it hit me, and I'm like, wow, I'm really hurting about this. And so when I expressed it, all these, because it's that's what life is about. It's all about feeling all the stuff, and because that's how you get to healing and being in like being like this a life force that inspires, and you're contributing to society, stuff like that. So yeah, I did that, and that was my whole reaction. But in the long run, it turned out to be a very happy thing, and now we just kind of have the same name. Except I'm like Little Tommy, and he's like Big Tommy.
I got you.
Like, yeah.
But this is also, this is a persona. Is it a stage persona, or is it actually
well, it's like,
or is something that you've adopted?
It's my personality, like I said, because I've always been like a little lover boy. If you ever went to school with me, like it'd be hilarious, because you'd be like, I'd have this one dude that I just fell in love with, and I'd just be like, so like you just watch me, and like and I'm an artist, so it's like every time like I never write songs. Okay. Like, and it's just like a single song. Every time I write, it's like if I go to school over fall semester, by the time you get to winter break, I've written an album. So what I would do, because I'd just be writing songs about all my little emotions and all these things. And so then
that's how you get it out.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So I've written like a whole album just from living through, that semester. And so over the winter break, I'd record it or something, and then it'd be like these whole albums. And I have so many of those. A lot of them.
Are they accessible? I was trying to look some things.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. So I recorded a lot myself, and so it's on there's a YouTube page for the Mister.
Okay.
That I haven't been using,
and
but
it's
the
linked. Mister, or is it modern?
Yeah, it's the same.
So that's by the way for people, it's an MR period.
Yes.
Like it looks like Mr. Schwartz, Mr. Yeah.
And
Mr.
it's like
King.
the in front of it, like the Batman.
Yeah.
So it's like the classic one.
Oh.
And
Batman,
actually on the Joystick Holster YouTube, that's like the active one right now.
Okay.
It's at the bottom still, so you'll see it, so you'll be able to click it. But it's like the deep cuts. You have to go like way back, and it's like a lot of that stuff is in there.
So
yeah.
So okay,
I've been bringing it back too.
That's all. That's really fascinating about this transformative period for you. I'm trying to contextualize as well. So in 2015, Crooked Vines we released our first album, and we're playing. Yeah. And you come sit in. You're singing. And like you said, you were pretty expressive. You kind of had this combination of like Prince and James Brown. Thing going on. I think you had the fun glasses. I remember there was this like they were kind of like looped around.
Yeah,
they were like fun sunglasses and the hat, and get like colorful outfits.
Right.
And so
this is one of the shirts that survived.
Oh wow,
this is
nice.
One of the original, and the bow tie, the original one.
Yeah. For those listening, yes, he's got this kind of like fun. I don't know, like not cheetah print. What type of print is an animal print?
It's
kind of
H&M print.
H&M print. Yeah. And there's like a
I know, it's not really
false bow tie. It's not an animal, I guess. I don't know what it is, but then a false bow tie.
Yeah, these wooden bow ties.
Wooden bow tie. Yeah,
there's so many stories for everything. This is all local stuff. Like,
nice.
Because I came here from I'm originally from Huntsville, but I was in Mobile for a minute. But anyway,
that's right, Huntsville. Yeah, Huntsville, Alabama. That's where.
Right. And
why'd you? Oh, go ahead.
About music, and first it was the vibe. I just felt at home when I first came here. And you know how it is.
In 2015, is that when you?
No. I first came here. I was lucky. It was 2007, 2008. Because Katrina happened, and it displaced a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so when the city was coming back, I was playing trumpet in high school. And I loved music my whole life, but they threw me on trumpet. But because I was always very musical and tasteful, and serious about it, I kind of was learning other things. And, I would take a lesson here and there, doing other stuff that wasn't like the usual mix of what the community bands were doing. And so when the band director heard me, I was playing Misty. And because I found a real book in my attic, And so I've always been very sentimental, as you can tell. So I remember I was just going through and playing all these melodies from this real book, and that song, I was like, this is so beautiful. What? And I just had this. It was that and stuff like I left my heart in San Francisco. All those different. So I'm learning all these melodies, and so when band practice would be about to start. I would be like, just while everybody else is just in the band room playing random notes and being silly, I would just be sitting down in my chair, like very like just with this vibe, and I'd just be playing Misty or something.
Nice.
And then the band director, because he was from New Orleans, right? So he hears me, and he comes out of it. He never came out of the office until it was time for the downbeat, you know. But he comes out and he says, "Hey, you, how do you know that song?" And I give him the same story. And then after that, because he has his own brass band. Cool Bone Brass Band. They were signed major label Polygram Records way back, you know, Disney now, which is actually the same as like Tommy's band and everything. Same like
cool.
Disney kind of thing. And it's funny how Disney is linked to everything, right? It's all Disney. Like Mickey plays bass in Joystick Holster. Everything's Disney.
Wait, what? Mickey?
Mickey's the bass player for
That's
Joystick
the name
Holster.
of the guy who plays bass in. Oh, okay. I was like, what?
The Disney connection, baby.
It's all Disney
I get it. I get it. I was just
Yeah.
like, excuse me.
But that is what brought me
Gotcha.
to New Orleans, because he was like, okay, I have a brass band, traditional jazz, and we do play street music as well, and we like have this whole thing where we like they coined brass hop, and they were playing like they did the music videos. They had
neat.
Lauryn Hill and all these people, Wyclef.
Wow.
All these,
You're a band director in high school.
yeah,
Okay.
because of Katrina, so they all moved around.
Oh,
Yeah, so he was the
interesting.
band director then.
Okay.
And
What's his name?
Stephen Johnson, Cool Bone Johnson. Yeah. So yeah, it's a whole era of things like
That's
back
awesome.
when Rebirth was getting started and all those, like those people who started that whole thing.
Yeah.
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 And so that when I remember it, because I was young and I was in the community I grew up in, it was like I didn't get to explore a lot of my interests and my things that I was curious about. And I remember when we came to New Orleans, just being in the van on Canal Street, immediately just looking out of the window. First of all, it looks like an amusement, some kind of like Myrtle Beach to me, with the pavilion way back in the day. Like it's Canal Street and with all the palm trees, and it's like crowded. All sorts of people are walking around, and my heart.
Yeah, it's a spectacle of sorts. For
Exactly,
sure. Yeah,
and
in
my
of
whole
itself.
body and everything was just like vibrating. I was like, I'm going to live here.
Oh, that's cool. It spoke to
Yeah,
you. So
exactly,
yeah,
yeah.
the city spoke
And then
to
it was
you.
just convenient for like music and stuff, because
Yeah.
it's like everything's here, literally, and I love
So
it.
then I'm sorry,
Oh, you're
but
good, yeah.
you move here later though.
I
So
knew
that-
I was going to,
Yeah, okay,
so I mapped
eventually.
it out, and because I was coming here like every weekend playing gigs.
Really?
Yeah.
All the way back then?
Yeah,
That's a pretty.
yeah. So
that's
by
a
the time
pretty
I
far
got
drive,
here,
right?
which is,
How far is Huntsville?
it was like 7-8 hours. Yeah.
That's,
7
oh,
or
yeah. Yeah,
No,
that's
not
true.
8, but like 7. And if you're driving like Steve, it was like 6 or something.
Gotcha. When you're driving fast.
Yeah.
When you say Steve, do you mean me, Steve?
No, not you, Steve. Not sweaty drunk Steve.
No, exactly. Sweaty drunk Steve drives very cautiously if he has to.
It was more like.
He doesn't drive.
We do not condone drinking and driving in
Nope.
crooked conversations.
No, we don't. Just outside of crooked conversation.
You have to answer truthfully.
No, I see what you're saying. No, that's a far drive. So you're coming every
Yeah.
weekend to gig here. This is now in high school or in
High
college?
school.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to. He had to talk to my mom and everything.
Wow.
And yeah, but we got it done. And because I was very serious and responsible. So.
What type of gigs were you doing at this time?
Oh, it was like weddings and typical industry.
and you're playing
stuff.
trumpet.
Yeah, I was playing trumpet,
Wow.
and they would let me sing sometimes because they found out I had a very beautiful voice too.
Mhm.
And I had my own band. I actually started my own band back in high school, and yeah, same kind of deal. Which is like I said, when I met Tommy, I just saw me, and I was like, I saw me in that too, and I was like, oh wow,
Oh,
this is
I
amazing. It's like this is the same kind of thing. And like it's funny because when you're like that, sometimes people get angry with you for how you're doing. Like when you're headstrong, you piss a lot of people off. But I always understood.
No, yeah,
So
of
it's
course.
cool. Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
please everyone, and sometimes
Yeah,
you have
and
to-
plus when you have your goals and you know how it's going to work,
Mhm.
you have to stay on that. Even if people are like jumping on you, you have to make sure you do that, because in the end, when you get there, they'll be like, "Oh, okay, here we go," and it's like, okay.
So you're doing the gigs here, but then before we started rolling, you said you went to college in Alabama.
Yeah,
right?
Mobile, South
Mobile, okay.
Alabama. Go
So-
Jags, baby.
Nice. So, and did you go for music or?
Yeah, so it's music business. It was
Oh.
a concentration in business. I mean, music.
Understood.
Business.
I got
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
And
Those
because you
programs
have
are
to
yeah.
major in music, and they have
Yeah.
they have a stellar, like an amazing business college. So I was really
That's
lucky
awesome.
because I was interested, because I remember I asked the trumpet professor, because he was also my advisor my freshman year.
Mhm.
I asked him because I've always been very approach things in an intelligent way. I knew I didn't want to go to school and major in music because I'm like, well, what am I gonna get?
What do you
there?
gonna do? Yeah, what do
And
you
I,
gonna
so
make?
I
That's
wanted
true.
to. I asked him. I said, "Is it better?" I said, "So what's the difference between majoring in music business versus majoring in business and minoring in music?"
Mm-hmm.
And I already knew he was gonna try to sell me music anyway because he's the trumpet guy, and But I went on and went with the music thing. So because I was like, okay, we're in here. I'm gonna do that. So let's do
Okay.
it. So yeah, but it was. I'm glad I did because it put me right there in the music college, and it's like
That's great.
so the people like me were there. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I always say that the best thing that college gave me was just the experience of being surrounded by like-minded peers.
Mhm.
I think that's the big
Exactly.
thing that I maybe wouldn't have got had I not gone to. If I would have still tried to do music in college, but not study music in college, I think that's the difference is that you're not as immersed in that situation.
Right.
And I think that's the degree, like you said, doesn't do much, but it's the community that you're able to create and expound upon. Like, had I not done that, I wouldn't have ever even been in the Cricket Vines.
That's actually that's really true. It's the people that you meet and the mind, like the meeting of the minds that you get from the music people that are everyone's focusing on music.
It's just unfortunate that it costs so much goddamn money.
I know, right?
I know, and I did it myself. I
Crazy.
did it myself. I did, and that's why it was cool because I've always been very independent.
Oh, nice.
Even when I didn't have
Wow.
to be, like when I was a kid getting allowance, like we would get allowance, and like my sister would come up broke before the week would end,
Mhm.
but nobody ever talked to me. Like they would never ask me anything, and they'd finally ask me at the end of the month or something. I said, "How much money do you have?" And I'm like, "I got $100," and they were like, "How the hell do you have $100?"
Nice. You're saving up. Yeah.
This is great.
I'd save up too. I totally get it. Yeah.
So I've always been responsible, independent like that. So
That's great.
yeah.
Hey, so you have a sister? Any other siblings?
Oh my goodness, I love when people ask this question because I've grown. You're in it too. I've got like a whole new family established these days. I've got a dad. I've got big bro bros. It includes you too.
Oh,
I've got
thanks.
I've got a hubby, newlywed. I've got everything. So,
Okay.
yeah, but yeah,
Interesting. Okay.
yeah, it's great. I haven't been to Huntsville in forever, but it's like so
Okay.
now it's like I've got this whole thing. So
Is that something that you guys? It's like is it a fractured connection or
it's
something?
so fractured.
Okay.
It's so
that and we don't talk about it. I totally
We don't
understand
talk
it.
about-
It's
we can
family.
talk about anything. I'm playing.
Yeah, but yeah, that stuff's hard. You know, that's not always
yeah.
like
yeah, I
it's not
get it,
always
yeah.
like very public.
Yeah.
But yeah, family stuff can be difficult, especially if there's
Yeah, I'm glad.
yeah.
I'm. It's good because it was like that. Because I'm very sweet and sensitive. I really
Sure.
am.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, even when I'm being strong and I don't notice it, because I'm so like, wisdom is like my leading thing before I was like completely.
It's where you put all your experience points.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd be able to keep trucking and not even realize
Uh-huh.
what's happening inside of me,
Hmm,
and I'd still
okay.
be able to be efficient. So it's like I was able to heal and be able to go back and be open, but
Oh,
and it still didn't happen the way that it should, with the love that should be there. And it's like, but I'm at a point now where it doesn't bother. I'm happy. I'm
Mhm.
good, and I'm completely healed. So I'm good. So
you
it's
feel-
like,
okay.
yeah. So I'm not gonna like break down. I've had my breakdowns. I'm like famous for my breakdowns. Like when I break down, everything's breaking down.
Oh,
And we're
God.
gonna watch it.
Yeah, well, please don't do that here. Yes.
Oh, I'm great now. I don't have to break down. You
It's-
break
it's-
down so you can build and never have to break
That's
down.
true. I was gonna
again.
say it's
That's the
cricket
point.
conversations, not broken
Wow.
conversations.
That's a beautiful sentiment, though. I
Yeah.
break down and rebuild myself, so I don't have to break down again. That's
Yeah.
actually
Exactly.
That's really
it's a
nice.
song
Yeah.
lyric.
Yeah.
A stronger
Yeah,
foundation.
we're gonna write a song. We're in the middle. We got the rehearsal.
That's
sometime.
that's
We're
lovely. I'm glad to hear that because it some people the cracks don't heal properly, right?
Mhm.
The plate is broken, so it's actually kind of weaker. It's not glued together, right? It shatters easier.
Well, that's life. You have
that's-
to be.
So some people are like that. I think others are different. It's like
Yeah.
they remold the foundation and become stronger.
Yeah, everybody's so unique, and that's what I love about it. Because that's little Tommy. That's me. I break and then I build up to never break again. Other people, like you said, you might just build on the foundation and let that stay in you, and you just build on top of it, and you become like this powerhouse. So it's like, yeah, I'm the soft one of the family. But it's cool because I fit in. That's the only thing it is. Like, I talk about like having a contribution to society and stuff. It's like
Mhm.
if you like just cut everything down to exactly who you are, like by instincts, and just we're not having to think when you're sweaty drunk. It's like if you get life down to that, it's like then you're like, hi, I'm here, and everybody's like, hey, we got that kid in class, and that's who he is,
Mhm.
and we're cool with that guy, and that's just we know that's gummy worm Freddy or something. Like we know that. You know, it's like a
Is that a
movie
real
now.
person?
It's like it's probably he's
Coming
gonna
from Freddy.
yeah, gummy worm.
Need so many fucking gummy worms.
Exactly, and we just know he's gonna do that, and so we just know.
No, that's really okay. That's really cool. And we can touch more upon that later. As obviously, I'm trying to build to like what brought you to here in our connections as well. But I love hearing about these the personal things too. They're
that's the whole thing.
That's what makes you
everything's
that's where growth comes from, right? Is like because everyone has those either traumatic events or like hurt feelings. It could be family, it could be friends, it could just be life. You know, things affect us along the way. So trying to stay positive and rebuild is always
that's my
an
whole
important
thing. Never die. Just like go through everything, feel everything, and just. But the key, the thing that keeps it all together, is to make sure that you keep living. Like if you do that, that's how you conquer. Because you can't
keep moving.
Like even if you get
Just keep swimming. Right?
Just keep swimming. There you go. And
Disney.
you're gonna make it somewhere, and you're gonna it's gonna take you up. So you're like, okay, I got it.
Everything's Disney.
Everything's Disney. Yeah, everything's Disney. Hulu's Disney. Star Wars is Disney. Marvel's Disney.
ESPN's Disney.
ESPN's Disney. That's right.
Sports is Disney.
Sports is Disney. Yeah, brought to you by
ABC Family's Disney.
Yeah. Although I love that there's a Nickelodeon sports channel now. There's football on Nickelodeon.
Oh yeah, they were
and they slime and
you
shit.
You gotta get the kids involved somehow, man.
That's right. Yeah, you gotta indoctrinate them somewhere.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Jesus will be Disney soon.
Oh my, you're right.
So 2015 is that when you moved to New Orleans officially after college?
That's when I landed. It was February because I'm so practical that I've never been about paperwork, degrees and all that stuff. I've been about experience and what you can do. Like, because a lot of people,
did you finish college or did you?
That's the thing.
Okay.
I did my singing recital, everything that was a part of my music business degree because I'm so practical. Everything that I knew that I needed and that's what I was paying for. That's what I was going for.
Yeah.
I finished all of that, and I had because I had my time ticket. I was like, I'm doing it because I was always an A student.
Good.
Like in grade school and stuff. And even if I chose to make a B or a C because if it was the cool, like the responsible thing to do at university because you have to experience college too.
Yeah.
So you have
yeah.
And even if you want to go to grad school, you don't have to be an A student to get grad school. You really don't.
Of course. Yeah.
So it's like that's not the purpose. The purpose isn't the paperwork. So I basically when I did all of that, it's like I knew I didn't need the documentation. So when I completed everything off my checklist, I skipped some of the stuff that I just thought was a waste of time. And so at my last semester, it ended up being an extra semester or something. And it happened to be stupid. It was like geology. I mean, it's cool stuff, but I don't need that. It's like geology. It's just because they want to make you a Renaissance, well-rounded world citizen.
A modern Renaissance.
I know. It's all coming up, right? It's coming back. But I had like these it was like public speaking, but I was already good at that. And it was like stuff like that. And so I was there. I was social work. I was trying, but I was so bored and just so out of it.
So you didn't finish that last semester?
I left.
Wow. So you did all the stuff and then
I skipped so many classes during that thing that when I decided that I was going to go back to classes, I forgot that I even signed up for like geology. One of the classes I didn't even go to because I forgot I had it.
Wow.
And I didn't even realize. I was just throwing parties and chilling at my apartment.
That's pretty cool, but that would have been very difficult for me. Obviously, that for me, like the completionist, I wouldn't have been able. Like that's.
Well, that's the thing. In my mind, I completed everything because I was like,
that's
all
really
my business courses, all my music courses, singing recital, all that. I finished it.
So the things that had like a value for you,
you
did
functioning for my career path and what I wanted to do.
And the other stuff, you're just like, fuck all that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And so when it was time for me to, I think they wanted me to repeat some stuff because I just totally just skipped it. I was tired.
Yeah.
Because at that point I'm very driven, headstrong, kind of like I was, and I know what I want and I know where I'm going. So it's like the other stuff, and at that point you reach grown man status, so you're like leading your own ship.
Sure.
So I'm thinking like, it's almost like hippie / actual full citizen kind of thinking. I was like, you know what, this is a waste of time. And when you're working in the music industry, time is important. So sure. I was like, it has to be perfect, right timing. So I was like, it's time for me to leave. So I remember we had a gig in New Orleans with the brass band, Still Cool Bone Brass Band. And it was in February, and Steve was coming to pick me up this time. And I was like, okay, when you come to pick me up this time, I'm going to, because he usually had a van. He had a van all the time. But this time he had a car, because I think he got into a car accident because he's quite the driver. and like so he had like this car, and
Okay.
I basically whatever I could fit in the seat next to me
Uh-huh.
in the back seat is what I took as belongings, and
Oh,
I got
wow.
I got a shotgun.
Wow.
In New Orleans, and I was like, when we go to this gig, just drop me off. I'm gonna stay here. And
Did you have like a guitar or anything like that? Or
oh, it's crazy, right? I had all these keyboards and guitars and stuff,
Mhm.
like multiple, because I used to be one of those guys. And I left all of that in my college apartment, and I only took like the essentials.
Wow.
And yeah, and I moved here.
You just left. You just left.
I just left. Yeah. In fact,
Wow.
I didn't even pay rent for the last little piece of because college apartments are different. You know how college apartments
Mhm.
work. It's
Yeah.
like a lease kind of thing. So I didn't pay for the last things, and I was like, well, I left all my things. Perhaps they can find value in them. So and so yeah,
That's
and
a bardic romantic. There's a romantic notion there for sure. Just like pack up and go.
yeah,
Just
I've
leave
always
it all
been like
behind.
that. I've always been like that. I've never been
Wow.
really attached to
I feel like
things
that's
per se.
hard in modern society, though. Like the college will track you down because they want that payment and they're not going to stop, or
And that's
like
just
whatever.
crazy. I've always been because I'm so practical, like
Mhm.
with the student loans and stuff.
Yeah.
I have a I had an accountant in the family, so it was like they were telling me the tricks and stuff. It's like
that's good.
with emails, like as soon as you finish and they start sending you emails about paying back the loans, if you don't respond to the emails at all and just leave them alone. And I took courses, so I
Mhm.
realized they're gonna write this off if they can't get in contact with me, because first of all, they have a lot of things going on, like other people,
Sure.
and they're just
yeah.
collecting.
Yeah.
And it's like, so if you just let it go for a very long time, or as long enough, they have
Mhm.
to write you off. They have to write it off anyway.
Oh.
So yeah,
interesting.
so they stopped doing it, and and I wasn't,
good.
and I'm a musician, so I
Yeah.
wasn't using credit. I was getting paid in I was making a ton of money doing it,
That's good.
but I didn't. It wasn't necessarily. I didn't have to So I was good. So I didn't need credit.
Oh,
I
that's
could
good.
pay for it. Like if I was buying a MacBook, I
Yeah.
would just drop. I was so gangster. I would just walk into the Apple store and then buy a MacBook Pro
Like a
or
fat
something.
1200
I just
just
drop
cash,
it.
yeah.
Let's go.
That's kind of amazing.
Yeah, I remember Jeff Chennai. You remember Jeff? He was
Yeah.
the drummer for
Yeah.
the original The Mister.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
he's back, baby. He's back in the city, kicking it.
Is he?
Just
oh,
played
he's back in
another-
the city. I
just
didn't
played
realize
another
that.
show. I just told
Did he
everybody.
play with Michaela for a
Yeah,
while
he was
too?
Michaela's drummer for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
that's right.
Because
yeah.
he was in Michaela's band at the same time he was in The Mister.
Yeah, he was fantastic, man. I didn't
Oh,
realize
he's
he was back
he's
in the
gotten
city.
better now, baby.
That's
Check
awesome.
out the Instagram. It's going down. That's
Oh,
Jeffy
cool.
Go baby.
Cool.
But yeah, what was I saying about that? Crap. What was I saying about it? Jeff, you threw me off.
I don't know.
Um,
You were paying cash or something.
Oh yeah, no, because he was telling me oh crap, I was getting something from Apple. No, it was probably like something, and he was telling me about the payment cards they had, because I didn't know about that,
Mhm.
because I remember the first MacBook I got was refurbished and it was from something else, so it was like this super yeeted up MacBook Pro that was 18-inch from like 2010, but it was refurbished, so it had everything. So when I was doing the updates and stuff, he was telling me, he's like, man, if you just go there, you can like apply for the little card and you can pay like $10 or $50 a month.
Yeah.
And it's
Fin-
easy,
it's the fin-
right? And you
Apple
can get the best.
financing,
You can
yeah.
get the best, technology they have to offer, and just be paying that little bit a month.
That's true. Yeah.
And then it was funny because I was listening to his console and everything, and I was like, yeah, that's perfect, that's cool. And I realized how that works with credit and stuff, and I was like, and I just got frustrated. I was like, okay, I'll just drop this dough and get this stuff.
So was your credit kind of fucked up? then?
well, and
you
know,
don't have to talk about this on.
it doesn't matter. I don't use it. It's like I never use my credit. Well, no, well,
Your cards, you mean? You never use your credit cards.
Yeah, I never had a credit card. Never needed one. But
Yeah.
that's how you get your credit, right? But
Yeah, wow.
but what's
Yeah.
funny, wool over your eyes, not to keep it,
Yeah.
keep it in this vein of things. But my credit was fucked up before I used it, because the mother figures in your life, using all your stuff. It's like it was that kind of situation.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't even know. But but I
Mm.
already didn't have good credit. But it wasn't my fault.
Yeah.
But it's cool because of my lifestyle, the way everything was. I didn't need credit. I get paid cash.
Something I remember you doing
Checks
was
on
Steve mentioned the Prince thing,
Mhm.
the vibe. I remember you doing a Prince segment with maybe it
Mhm.
was the Funky Monkeys or someone
Mhm.
like that,
Yeah.
like a cover band. You
done
were
that.
doing like a Prince
Yeah, that's right.
Prince tribute type thing.
Yeah,
with
it's the
them.
same thing like with Frenchman Street and stuff. Cause I'm glad we brought this up, like 2015, meeting you guys and
Mhm.
everything. Cause when I met you guys, when I first moved here, I wasn't a covers person. The only music I moved here thinking I was gonna make my living playing trad jazz and stuff, cause that's what New Orleans is for and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But what was crazy? With the cats who brought me in,
Mhm.
they were like legacy. people. Actually, one of the Johnson brothers, Ronell Johnson, is actually playing with the Traveling for Preservation.
Ronell's a phenomenal trombone player.
Exactly.
And
One of the
him, you're a
brothers
trombonist.
Johnson.
Yeah, because it's a whole family affair. You know how New Orleans is. You got the music families.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
Well, it's just how it works. Everybody grows up in the city. Your whole family, you're all playing music. So it's like that's why they're musical families, because it's
for
just
sure.
the environment.
Yeah.
But yeah, so so when I moved here, I figured, I had all the networking together, the experience. I was brought in by the right names. So I was like, when I move here, I'm going to be, and I have the I'm playing the stuff, and I got, because every trumpet player has to be prepared to be the band leader, and you have to have your list of songs that you're going to play lead on, you're going to sing, all this stuff. So I had all that. So I had the perfect package. And I come in thinking I'm going to be working as a trad jazz, every now and then street kind of, brass band stuff for full-time work. And I get here, and it's like nobody is like hiring for that, and I need to pay rent. And I'm like, well, what's going on? And I remember, it's funny because how I got to how you guys knew me at the time, doing covers music and like the Prince stuff and everything, was because I was CJ saw me. Cecil. We like calling him Cecil. He was a heart band leader at the time. That era of Frenchmen. You remember Soul Company?
I remember Soul Company for sure.
Everybody's been through that at some point, but it's like he was.
Who's this? CJ?
He was the band leader for Soul Company. Soul Company was.
I don't remember him specifically. I just remember the band Soul Company. They were doing stuff on Frenchman and
a lot of cool musicians who were like yeeted up right now came through that band at some point, like Steve Mignano with Drab. Yeah, all those guys. We all kind of came through that at some point.
Damn. Okay.
But we were all in the same band, like fucking all these people. Anyway, so Clarence from Trombone Shardy's band back in the day, we all ended up in Soul Company at some point together. But it's crazy because so CJ, I was at Blue Nile because I was always the same person, right? So I just go to shows all the time because that's what I loved about the city. So I would go to shows.
You were just on the scene, walking around, checking things out.
And I'm dancing.
And where did you live at the time? Were you nearby?
Murray Street, right close to Frenchman Street.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And so I was.
Was just walking over?
Right.
Oh, that's
every
cool.
fucking because when I moved here, I was like I had a mission. I was like I need to make myself known, and then I need to find musicians, and then I can get my perfect formula that I took years work crafting. I need to do that, and get the musicians and get the band, and then we'll get it real quick, but not. We'll put in the work and everything. I had the perfect formula for that. So anyway, I was going out. I was dancing at Blue Nile, and CJ saw me. He said, "You look like a front man." He said that. And at the time, I didn't know a damn cover song at all. Like I didn't know any of that stuff. I mean, I listened to it growing like we all do, but I never actually. I always performed my own music and stuff. So I'd never actually learned, other like I know them like if they're on the radio I can sing along or something. But anyway, so he just gave me a list of songs that included some Prince tunes, and I remember I grew up on Prince too, and I loved a lot of the songs. But Prince was like one of those artists, how you hear them and you just hear them, like you hear it like you could like. You know what I mean? Like you like the notes or the melodies he's choosing, kind of stuff like that. You're like, I do that. I can hear that. Like,
I understand.
And then for the vocal range I was doing, I was like, oh, this is perfect. And I just felt the vibe of what he was doing.
Like
so,
you fit it.
It just felt like a natural kind of thing for me to do. Yeah. So I remember it was a couple of Prince songs, a lot of funk tunes, stuff like that. And then he found that I played trumpet later, so I started playing some of that stuff too. And it was a kick-ass thing because I remember he told me to show up because he didn't put me right on the gig.
Soul Company?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and he had me show up to a gig one time and do like a few songs.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Bruno Mars and all that.
Yeah.
And completely destroyed it. Like the front man stuff. I had the funk James Brown kind of presence going on, and he was like, "Oh shit!" He hired me, and it was like,
"That's great."
Yeah, so that's how I actually started with the covers band thing.
Okay.
In New Orleans, because it was completely new to me. But because I was so...
That's a cool way to get into it.
Yeah.
Then. It's almost out of necessity. And
because, and I was so...
But did you enjoy it?
Very much. I love... You know me. You can tell when you're looking at me. I love the stage. I love doing that.
Yeah, of course.
And it's different from doing the original music stuff. It's just like we're just up... It's different, but it's fun. It's a different kind of fun.
Yeah, there's something about... I mean, I complain about it. We're doing a Frenchman Street gig, and we got to play some covers. And there's a part of me that... I don't know. Some of them I'm not totally happy.
We have to talk about Joystick Holster because it comes full circle.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was just gonna say that there's a part of it like when you're playing something that makes people happy and they know like a song that people really enjoy. Like there's a communal thing. Like we all have a shared experience with some various songs, and depending on what it is, like a cover that everyone kind of knows. So being able to perform that in a style or way that you kind of make it your own, and you're sending out these vibes. Like there is something special about that. People shit on cover music sometimes, but myself included, but I also then have to remind myself what you're bringing joy and happiness to people.
It just depends on the approach.
Yeah.
Because like for me, the reason why it worked so well with me is because I entered it not on my own by goals and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So when I did it, it was completely unadulterated, and you could tell I was just a kid who loved these songs, and now I'm just up there having fun doing my thing. And I've always been so wild. So like at our shows, it wouldn't just be like we're watching a stage thing. It's like we're at a party. Like I would start a Soul Train line on the floor.
Cool.
You know,
Yeah,
and I'd
that's
be
great.
out in the audience doing all kinds of stuff, not trying to be a showman at that point.
No,
I'm
it's
just having
you
fun.
want to incorporate
Yeah.
people too.
Exactly.
It's fun.
Like,
have
it's just
fun, and people, it's infectious.
And it's
People
good
have
for
fun
those
with you.
Frenchman gigs because
Well, yeah,
those
of
things
course.
go on forever. And if you're and the whole goal for the club, they want you if you can bring people in and make them stay there and drink and stuff. So
Yeah,
it's
of
like,
course.
so when we're having a party like that, people are just thinking about it. People are just piling in. We're having all sorts of like activities happening like off
Nice.
stage.
Yeah.
So people want to stay in. They're getting drunk. They're getting sweaty
Nice.
drunk. I'm gonna bring this back. And it's
Yeah.
it was just fun, And I had so much, and it had to be because I remember in Soul Company we worked hard. Like we would do these Frenchman gigs, and we were playing like every night. And then
That
CJ,
much?
and then
Wow.
CJ would. It wasn't every. It would.
A lot. You were playing very.
Sometimes it would be every night, and CJ would call you like the next morning. He'd call you and be like, "Hey, I just got this gig at Vassal or something," and then you would have to. I was so, and then you have to just. Well, I was like so. I'm always like young and jumping and going. So I'd be like, okay, my voice is like really deep from the night before. And I'd be like, okay. And I would get up and I would run over there. And then we'd do a gig at like 12 o'clock. And then we'd have another one later at night. And so we were grinding hard. So I really hit the ground running.
That's great though. It gives you a lot of experience. I mean,
Exactly.
And
yeah.
you can do it at that age too, when you're fresh and young and everything.
And now I've
It's
stopped
harder.
aging. I've aged backwards now. So now
You're
I'm incredible. I can't be stopped.
That's
Yeah.
that's amazing. That's good to hear. You just keep it up, whatever you do.
Oh yeah, and to tie it in with Joystick
yes,
Holster,
what you're
it's
saying.
like
so
yeah.
a new project of yours, kind of.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, so
And with the covers music, like doing covers now, it's like it's
that's what Joystick Holster is.
well,
It's
no. We
okay.
do it's all original stuff, but the covers we do live are like
Oh, I see.
it's like it's very it's a pure approach to it because it's like how you hear your favorite songs that are like when you hear them like that's me, I could do that, or it's just
Yeah.
that's
It
my
speaks to
song. Exactly. It's like when we do them, it's very personalized. So it's like it seems like we play them like we wrote the song basically, but it's still that song because it's like
Oh, I totally understand. We do that
Yeah.
with some songs too. Yeah, we try to make them your
right,
own.
right, yeah,
It's very-
exactly.
I mean, you can get way out there with covers and really change it up and harmonize it and all this stuff. But
yeah.
also, you can just kind of perform it in a style that's whatever.
Yeah.
More funky or something. And,
Yeah,
makes it
and
your
it's
own.
like it's cool for me because it's like even with newer songs that we play that are covers, it's like we approach it the same way as the other stuff because we play like a lot of OG Green Day songs and stuff. It's
oh,
like
sweet.
it's
So you're playing guitar and singing.
yeah,
in this
I'm
band,
singing
and
and
then
playing
there's
guitar
bass
and there's
drums,
bass and drums. It's
like
so
a
beautiful.
Power punk trio type of thing.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
And I'm calling it punk rock and roll because we literally do anything. And then now I have this thing I've added. Because at first it was just an acoustic thing where I just play and the two boys would take a break.
Uh-huh.
Sebi and Mickey would take a break. But now it's like I've been in between. Little Tommy Kent's developed and he's playing like solo stuff and it's like
Oh, that's cool.
acoustic. And but it's like old school rock and roll and like more like R&B-ish kind of stuff too. So now it's like you can add that and it changes the entire dynamic, but it's still the same 3-piece. But you've got the now the sound of that beautiful Recording King.
That's great.
Acoustic with the bass and
nice.
drums too, and it's like it just creates a new dynamic.
And where y'all been playing at? Have you been playing
So
around
yeah,
much? Okay.
we had our debut at this place called Coffee Science.
Coffee Science. Where's that?
It's on North Broad. Now this
North
place
Broad.
is
Okay.
amazing because and actually it was from we'll call him Joshua the Bach if you want to find him on Instagram, but he
Who?
Joshua the Bach is how you find him
Okay.
online. And it's like Instagram would be the place to go to see that because he
Okay.
runs this amazing open mic / feature artist series called Sundown.
Okay.
And I was playing a lot of open mics there. That's when Tommy first came out to perform.
This is Tommy. Does
Yeah.
Tommy have a last name or is this like
Now Tommy's last name is Kent.
Tommy Kent?
Yes.
Okay.
Little Tommy Kent.
I
I'm
like
the
that.
smallest of the Kent family, but I'm powerful, baby.
Funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, so this
But
is
yeah, and that was so I
when was that?
This was September of last year.
Okay, so recent. Okay.
Well, no,
cool.
September 15th is when we played, but I'd been going for like a couple of months, I think,
Okay.
every week playing,
Nice.
and everybody was falling in love with that.
That's great.
And so then we got Joystick Holster. Joshua got Joystick Holster.
And where's that name come from? You said something earlier about video games.
Oh,
before we started.
Oh
recording.
yeah. So I like to speak in volumes. So it's like Joystick Holster means all the things you think it means, but at the same time, the original
Yeah.
thing that happened. Oh yeah, I got grimy. I did get grimy because I threw a fit. But then but I'm always sweet and on the good side of things. So like I said, I was talking about it's in the same vein of how I got the name Tommy. So it's like Lip Candy at the time. They were in LA for a very long time to me at that point, and I finally started that's when I was expressing the things I was holding in, just to be stoic and supportive and understanding, because I did understand why things were the way they were, but still you have emotions and a heart and things. So Joystick Holster happened because there's the band is called Lip Candy. So I was like, I want to make a band that's gonna troll that band, like how Green Day has the network. Like so Green Day.
No, I don't.
So the network so Green Day has this thing. They're so seen, right? So they still, like, to this day, they're so punk that, and just about the scene in general, that even though they have Green Day, they still play with their other friends that aren't in Green Day, they have a bunch of different bands. So like for years, and they've all these different records that with these different bands, but it's still kind of some of the same guys or some of their friends added on and all this kind of things. Yeah, so
it's called The Network.
The Network's one of them, and they actually they have two albums now, but
oh, I didn't know that.
Well, the first one was called Money Money 2020, and then it's funny because in 2020 during the pandemic, then they brought it back. So then the second record came out after no one thought that the network would ever come back.
Oh, that's nice.
So anyway, but it's funny because they're the same people, but like the whole time they're like all over social media. Like back, they would always be like anti Green Day, and Green Day would be anti the network, and they'd be going back and forth like dogging each other.
Oh,
so Joystick Holster was like based on like Lip Candy. Joystick Holster, if you get all the innuendos and just all that.
I got you.
Yeah, and so I was like, I'm gonna make a band that's gonna just troll this, and I'm gonna take over everything, and we're gonna do all this stuff. But it was like, in good spirits too. So it wasn't supposed to. Yeah. So it was a way to keep the relationship to we needed that back and forth kind of though you're not here physically, we're still the same energy. So that's how Joystick Holster started, but it was meant to be serious too. So it was a real band. It wasn't just for the.
No, I understand.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
But you have a
yeah. So that's how.
It off.
And so that's how it started, and that's just been the energy, and it's so cool.
And so what about the Mister? Like what's going? So that's something that you started back in the day.
Yeah, and
too.
it's still, and the Joystick Holster is a part of the Mister.
I understand.
Yeah.
So, but Mister, that starts like 2016 or something, because I remember Bone Stangle, our
Yeah,
former bass player, was in
boy.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess Jeff in that as well.
Jeff, definitely,
Okay.
baby.
Who else was in
That's
that?
the poster. Yeah. So it was me. It was Jeff Janai. It was Steven Bonstangle. It was keyboard. It was Mila.
Okay.
Mila was on keys, of course. The classic Call Mila.
I don't think I know them.
And then Eric Merchant. We met in Soul Company, and Eric Merchant ended up doing after that, because all the drama of classic Loverboy Me happens, and so we ended up having
there was something, right? I recall something with the recording studio or something seeing stuff on Facebook. I don't. We don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. I just.
We can talk about everything. I love it because it's all love. We're cool. Yeah, we're all cool now, so it's cool.
What happened? I'm just curious.
We were going to record the EP because I had been doing since with the songs we did were songs that I had done with the band I was with in Mobile. And before, because like I said, I developed this formula for to the perfect band and how to be successful, outdoing the formula that I put together.
Yeah.
And which is why the Mister was so perfect, and we were just moving up so quickly, because we rehearsed for a whole year before we even played a show.
Wow,
that's
a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was great.
I remember Bone Stangle talking about it, and everything. Yeah, so.
Yeah, of course. But anyway, so I was so in love with Matt at the time. He was the first person I fell in love with living in New Orleans, because we met in Soul Company.
Okay.
And back then, to feel through all that stuff, and it just kind of developed into, it was a whole journey that happened.
Oh.
After that.
So what happened? So requited love?
Well, we all love each other. It's just that at the time I was too boys, we always get how we communicate, how we, rapport, all sorts of things like that. But it's at the time I was so loosey girly about everything that it just was too much. It was overwhelming. And so he was like, okay, dude, I can't do this gig. I can't do this. And it broke my little heart. And it was it was so sweet. Oh my god, we're on this podcast. This is so sweet because I remember when I moved on off of Frenchman and went to Bourbon Street. That's when I first started making my $1,000 checks. And I've always been just
Nice.
one little independent person. So I never, which is what, like I'm that same kid who had $100 from allowance.
Nice.
So it's like, so I didn't need that much money a week. So it's like I had I remember when I got my first paycheck and I was like, whoa, this is how much you get. And as I was doing like the private gigs and everything too on top of Bourbon.
Nice.
But that came a little later. But yeah, so I went on and started doing that. And so I remember for the first paycheck I had, because it was way too much for just me. And it was before I moved to the next house, which the rent was a little bit higher, but still. But anyway, so I remember I went to Michael Kors and Canal Place because I was so in love with this dude. So I went and bought him a watch because he loved watches, and it was like one of those. It was like a legit just Michael Kors watch. You know, I dropped some money on that thing.
Wow.
And I come get, and it was like, and I've always been so romantic. So I just show up. So he was working at I forget what that place is called in Decatur. You know where the jazz combos play on Decatur. Anyway.
Okay.
But anyway, I remember I got it in a nice little gift bag from Michael Kors, and I dropped it off with the hostess, and I was like, give it to the guitarist. And then
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you show up to a gig with a watch you bought for somebody.
Yeah, but I let her give it to him. But yeah, this is like how deep everything was. So yeah, but I remember.
What was his reaction? That's.
Oh, I wasn't there for it. Because I was
Wow.
so I left.
You didn't even want to see the reaction? I feel like if I
I
some
knew
money,
I knew the reaction. It was gonna be great.
I wanted to see it.
Yeah, I wanted to see
that shit.
But I remember when he was like,
Yeah.
I can't do the band anymore and everything. I love him
Was
so
it
much.
because of that?
Well, it was everything. That's just
It was
how
everything.
it was a
Okay.
bit overwhelming. But yeah, so
Gotcha.
I remember it was funny because when he stopped doing the band, when it broke my heart, he was like, he said, but I'm keeping the watch. That's like such a bro thing to do. But I'm keeping the watch.
Oh,
And
wow.
I'm glad he kept. I was glad though. It's funny. I'm like that, right? Like, oh, he's like, I'm glad he's keeping the watch. Ooh.
Wow. That's pretty.
Oh, but he changed the wristband. I thought the wristband was perfect. He didn't like it, so he changed the wristband.
So, wow. That's a lot. I'm trying to think about myself in that situation or somebody else who's like, that's. I mean, this. Oh, we might have a dog.
Here's
coming in.
the
Hey,
doggy.
Jamie. We
We
said
knew it.
there'd be a dog.
Right on cue.
Aw, hey, Jamie. Jamie the dog's here. So for longtime listeners, they know Jamie and watchers. Everything. Oh, by the way, James.
She's like an Easter egg.
Yeah. Everything okay over there, James? I've seen you've been futzing with some tech.
Yeah, we lost. Sorry for the loss of video for a couple minutes there, but
On
we're
YouTube?
we back.
Okay,
We
cool.
back, baby.
All right, cool. Thank you for futzing with that and dealing with it. I appreciate you, brother. Anyway, so I don't know if you've been hearing this story.
That's why they pay me the big bucks.
It's true. That's why we pay you the big bucks.
Dropping G's at
Yeah.
Michael Kors. baby.
So, so you got this watch
we're the
situation,
owners,
which
baby.
admittedly,
playing big festivals in Huntsville in the city. We were like had record labels talking to us. It was everything. And
That's
we were
pretty
like
cool.
we were like 14,
amazing.
15 years old. Like it was serious.
wow.
And so yeah, by the time I got here, I had like every song that I had, original song that we were gonna learn. I already had it demoed out. I had
Nice.
charts drawn. I did charts, everything, and then I
Wow.
had a formula for how we were going to collaborate. Because I didn't want to dictate, I wanted to give them an example. Because musicians, when you're starting
That's
out a new
true.
project, if you're trying to get musicians to be interested in your project, they don't want to think that they're gonna sound bad. So it's like they don't want to be trying to learn your stuff and it sound like shit, and they don't see the end result.
course,
So
of
then they
course,
get
yeah.
discouraged. They don't want to waste their time because it's a music city. They got things to do. So
Yeah,
that's
true.
why I had all these demos that were already like super yeeted up. They were like, I dig this. I like this. So then when they're playing it, and I told them to do their own thing with it, and we just become a band together, jamming and doing whatever we're gonna do, because that's what I've always been about. Band. I don't want to do a solo thing. And to me, band is about people coming together and contributing to society. So it's like that's what Tommy's gonna do. That's what Mickey's gonna do. So it's like
Sure.
that.
So
Yeah.
how does that connect to this thing though? With
Yeah. Okay. So basically, we were going up pretty quickly because of that formula. It was a lot of hard work, but then when we finally hit in 2016 officially,
Yep.
I remember our first show for a whole year.
Yeah.
We don't need that. So for our very first gig, and it ended up being legendary.
Oh, nice.
We recorded it straight through the whole gig. Like that was it. And so we started out like that.
You talking because they do tracking there. Is that what you mean, or do you?
Yeah,
mean
I mean, it was like
it was a live stream, like, or
No,
or
like-
you just recorded every.
It's on YouTube right now. It's like the whole like live concert type.
Oh, nice,
You
great.
got the video, audio, everything.
Yeah, that's
We
great.
did
You
that.
should-
Yeah, just like For the Real Kids that came out later. Same
Yeah.
thing. But yeah, so we did that, and from doing that, and
Mm-hmm.
just me being like how I am, just all bubbly on the scene, people getting my name out there, just being a presence. So because we did that, and it was online, so we had to show people and everything.
That's a good thing, though.
We started. I got the attention of Eric Burt, um, yeah, and stuff like from he books at for French Quarter Festival and stuff like Tank and the Bangers, all these
Oh,
people,
Nice.
and he has his own kind of
Eric Burt.
yeah, so he has his
Okay, I
own
don't know.
industry kind of thing that he does.
Gotta get in contact.
Yeah, so I know I know a lot of people
That's
from
awesome.
just because
Yeah.
I'm headstrong, knowing where I'm
Yeah.
going type thing. And I told them, I said it's very important that when we hit, because I've always been a band person, like you see My Chemical Romance or something, it's always the people you see that are the band that defines it. You follow their lives. It's like that's the band. You don't have. It's focused on the people there. So I was like, when we first landed, we like at Peaches Records, the store, we have like a big light box with our faces on it. It's never about me, never about blah blah blah. It's
Gotcha.
like we are the band.
Yeah.
So when we did
Collective.
Justin Bieber baby, but when we did exactly. So when we did that, it's like I told them it was very important that we kept that unit because I told just trust me, that's my formula. And because we did that, like by the time we did the first show, later we had the EP we did. That's what happened. So we did the light EP. We recorded at Soundshed. What's it called? Music Shed.
Oh, I
Right?
remember which. Yep.
Yeah. And we did that. We
Yeah,
had
yeah.
Bruce Burrell master. It's a beautiful record.
Cool.
Um,
And is that
yeah.
available everywhere right
Yeah,
now?
yeah.
Spotify and all that.
yeah, it's on all that. And actually, if you
Okay.
go to Joystick Holster on YouTube, there's a whole like everything's compact in the same place, so you can see the live recording of the very first show we did, and it's in the same
that's cool.
playlist as the album, so you can kind of because every album it's like any band you've seen, because that's what it's always been for me.
Mhm.
It's like the album drops, and then you got the tour. So it's like you can actually see, you can listen to the album,
Did
and
you
then you
guys
can watch
tour?
a live show. Well, yeah, that's the point. Like we were like, well, not touring out of town, but we were playing a series of shows.
Oh, okay.
And so the show that came from the same energy and songs
Mhm.
from the record
Mhm.
was what goes with that. So you were able to say, like Green
Gotcha.
Day comes out with Dookie, then you have the tour, then it's like this is
Gotcha.
what it looks
Of
like.
course.
Yeah, so we
So-
do that. Yeah, and so anyway, the way we got what you were talking about, the plus you were talking about.
Sure.
So we were going like we ended up like Eric was trying to get us on the radio, but the problem was the song that they were trying to get on the radio was I Could Give a Fuck About You, but they wanted to edit it like the hell out of it.
Mhm.
So that was a problem. So it was like a lot of stuff, but we were still rolling with it, like trucking with the business. But anyway, so we ended up getting a French Quarter Festival gig our first year within months
I remember
of
that.
starting.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why I'm saying with the formula, I was like, we're gonna blow it fast. So
Yeah,
just trust me.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So the train was going pretty quickly, and we were like stacking up. Like
Yeah.
we had a gig we got on our own, playing at Howling Wolf and all this stuff. But
Great. What happened with French Quarter?
well, anyway,
Festival?
French Quarter Fest is when everything imploded because. So there was like this thing where I remember because
Is that what it is? That it wasn't. It was French.
French
just-
Quarter Fest is what did it, and it was because,
All right, go
like
on
I
then.
said,
Okay,
with the
tell the story,
formula,
yeah.
with the people and the faces,
Uh-huh.
it was important that we stayed that. Because if you take away a person or do something, it becomes a whole different band. And we got the French Quarter Festival gig
Mhm.
by being that band. That's what everybody wanted. They wanted the musician, the people. Eric got us because
Mhm.
whoever the fuck dropped that gold on I Could Give a Fuck About You in the studio
Yeah.
and did all this stuff. That's what we want. Cause
Okay.
and then that's what we were. And so I remember Mila. I have a bad thing with keyboard players. Joystick Holster has no keyboard player.
Gotcha.
We haven't had a keyboard player in the Mister since this is crazy, right?
So okay.
But anyway, so yeah. But what happened is, I know it broke everyone's heart. I changed. Oh, I need to get to this because that's when the Stoic happened. The
Okay.
Stoic happened hardcore.
Okay.
Hardcore at this point. It was a different phase of it because what happened? Mila quit the band. And
before French Quarter. Fest?
before, while we already had it books and everything.
Why?
So the what I could see, it was crazy, and it hurt me because like when we first did the first show, that was live recorded and
Mhm.
stuff, she was the only one. She was giving me a lot of like, and she was a hardcore businesswoman because she had her own, which is why I admired her so much because we were both kind of in the same, we were like kind of doing the same things, She was all about like this, black entrepreneur kind of doing this. That was her vibe.
Mhm.
And so we respected each other because we were kind of both like, what people see as minority doing stuff. So it was like, and we were
Okay.
like successful at what we were doing,
Yeah.
with the grind, headstrong kind of thing. And I support it, like not, when people say support, I mean like support as in I'm doing it because I love it and I want to be here. So she had jams and stuff. I remember when they got what's that called? It's not the People Museum. What's that called over there on Aretha Castle Haley Boulevard?
Oh,
Anyway, they got the jam there.
Okay.
You know, that used to be on at Veretz. Veretz Street. Yeah. So they moved the jam over
we
there.
talked about the Veretz jam before.
Yeah.
James used to go to that.
And it yeeted up.
No better soul and jazz.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Everybody would be there, and it blew up because they moved over. And this is her. And so I remember. Oh, I loved it so much. But I remember because her band, they moved to LA too. This is all the same thing. But it was
Phil Sylv.
Yes.
So he's a part of this.
Yeah, they're all. Yeah, that was Cool Nasty. That was Cool Nasty.
Cool Nasty. Thank you.
And so
so Mila's keyboardist.
She was Cool Nasty. Yeah. And I remember it's like the way I saw it. You know, looking at it, and when I saw it, it was like when we were blowing up really fast. And the only thing, because people kept telling her this, and I was with her on how she was approaching it. People would be like, "Oh, your band would do a lot better if you had a singer, like a vocalist, because they were all instrumental." But they were killing it. So they would be getting gigs and, big gigs, but they would always, like, when people would get Cool Nasty,
I remember,
they would want them to back them up. But that was still dope because they would be backing up, like, big artists.
Yeah, no,
it would be, like, featuring Cool Nasty.
This was back, I remember that. Okay.
Yeah. And so, but what happened is, like, the Mister, at the same time of all this talk about, you need a singer and all this stuff, the Mister was so close to Cool Nasty. We started blowing up really quick. And it's not, and it wasn't necessarily what all people were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why we were blowing up is because, like I said, that formula that I was telling you that I put together from experience and building. But, things get blurred and stuff. And I can tell she was like, had feelings towards like how fast we were, going up and everything versus all the shit she was, taking with her band. Okay. And so she was kind of pulling away from the Mister and trying to, really get her band soaring. And so by the time they were trying to get a French Quarter Festival gig very hard. They ended up getting it the next year.
Okay.
But you have to understand and look at it. That first year, within like 3 months, we got a French Quarter Festival gig.
That's awesome.
Like right before Tank and the Bangers, like it was huge.
Yeah.
Like they was like, whoa, y'all like that good or something. Like okay. And so she was trucking with us for a little while, but then at some point, it was going. She was like, I can't do it. She was like, I'll have a friend, like a student who can replace me. But I could see that. And I was like, but Mila, we already know, we talked about this with the formula. This will crash everything because the people you see on the poster, the people who recorded the music, the vibe, the way people are playing music, the whole thing is that's
true.
The band. But I was saying, but for why we got the festival gig in the first place. We wouldn't have been the same unit if we would have either not had a keyboard, because keyboard was a big part of
I understand that.
Though I was also playing keyboard, but it still was going to be missing a chunk. But also it's like you can't, if you have someone else play, it's going to change the dynamic of the band. It's not the same unit.
Sure.
What we were trying to do.
I understand. So Mila leaves. So this prompted you to then.
Well, everybody, you can imagine, because it's a French Quarter Festival gig. You know what that means to every musician in this town. It's a big, and to me it was too. And I don't think, because it was so many emotions and everybody in the band flying around that they weren't looking at, it was a big thing for me too. Mm-hmm. So it was a big hurt for me, especially because it was the project I started. So there was a big fight that was going on back and forth, but nobody was saying what I was saying. I was saying, if y'all they're all good people. It's just like I said, it was a big emotional thing. I was saying, if you guys took the same energy that you're doing at trying to get me to go against our whole how we do this band, if you would take that energy and turn it around and try to convince Mila to play the gig, then it would be like, think of if you got 4 other people trying to like.
Sure, but Mila must obviously have a strong
exactly.
There must be a reason that this person is giving up what is an opportunity.
Yeah, and that's what I was
with it. There must have been something going on.
It was, but what I was explaining earlier, and I understood that. But the problem was we were divided because it was only me trying to look at her, see her eye to eye, and understand what she was going through, and trying to get her to continue to play with the band, because I legitimately loved everything she was doing. I was very supportive, genuinely.
Because I want to. So Mila decides to leave the band. You guys have a kerfuffle or disagreements inside. Yeah. But what happened with? So is that what happened? You canceled the French Quarter?
I didn't cancel it because I'm always so hopeful.
Then
you
what
know
happened?
What I mean? I was like, okay,
I was trying to get there.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. I was like, so because she quit. Like there was still some time in between for everybody to come together.
Okay.
And we already knew the music. We rehearsed for a whole fucking year.
Sure.
Before Yeah. So I was like, well, maybe by the time, because French Quarter Festival is huge, everybody wants to do it. I was like, well, maybe by the time of our date of the show, everybody be like, okay, let's fucking do it. Like, you know, it's gonna be this beautiful movie kind of thing that's gonna happen, but that's not what happens. You know, it's
Wait, so you kept the gig on the books?
I did, yeah, because
You're the band leader. No,
Mhm.
I just so
Yeah.
you're the band leader.
Yeah,
You kept the date on the books.
yeah.
You told everyone to show up. Did you ask Mila to show up?
That was the whole thing. But I was the only
And
one trying.
she said no.
Yeah, but I was the only one trying to convince her. Nobody else was. They were attacking me, and I was like,
So,
no, goodbye, goodbye.
Could you not? I mean, as a band leader,
Yeah.
like that's pivot. Like that's
Yeah.
you just to me. And then
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
my solution to the thing is like, okay, pivot. I find another key. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what? I understand that's an energy thing, but this is an opportunity that puts us in a
Oh, and that's
is
what,
worth the
yeah.
the thing. So, but you were
I
actually
couldn't-
you wanted it to.
Because it's gonna
It
break
would've-
the integrity of the unit, and the problem with
I mean
that.
that is a lofty ambition, by the way, to hope.
I thought
James,
I
are
was
you,
really
like-
saying that these people would come together
like
and do it.
I want to know, like I want to know, because to me that's like, all right, let's hope this happens. We're gonna show up, and our keyboard player, I hope you show up. And
But it
and
was-
if it
but I
works out,
didn't-
like you said, it's like a
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
But if it doesn't,
But I kept contacts in between to try to get.
so
them
what
to-
happened? Day of. So day of.
Yeah.
What happens?
I think I was heartbroken, and I go.
So this person doesn't. So you guys are at French Quarter Fest,
Mm-hmm.
and the keyboard player doesn't show up.
They got a brass band. Yeah, I think.
So and you were just like, no, we can't go on.
No, like other people didn't show up too, but Eric
Whoa.
and Jeff ended up running into each other there. But they ended up getting a brass band to play because we didn't play. The Mr. Sign was there, but it hurt me. Like my hair fell out, and I'm like, remember I had that huge afro? Remember I had that huge afro?
Yeah.
So maybe like
Jesus.
my hair fell out and everything,
man.
and I was completely like destroyed. Like, cause that was like to me it wasn't even just the dream, though it was a dream of doing that because I had the formula and I was like, this is gonna go. It was also the heart thing because I was before the dream. It was always about the people, and I love those guys so much. And when they were like when that happened and it wasn't like a loving situation, it really tore me apart, and it changed how I was with people, my relationships with people.
Okay.
And so that's when I got really, really quiet and everything. And I remember because I always loved the band Stoop Kids. Hey, y'all in Nashville.
Yeah.
And so
Stoops are friends. Yeah.
yeah, and so I remember this is how I kind of ran into the part of the scene that I love so much. Because when I first moved here, I've always been like, more rock kind of, scene kind of guy. But when I moved here, it was all funk and jazz because, it's New Orleans.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that we had a real, like, original music alt scene here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so huge. And it's where I met Tommy and all those cats. But Crap Stacks, all those guys, David, all those people. But it's like I love Stoop Kids so much, and I needed that energy. So I went to after French Quarter Festival, Bayou Boogaloo happens. So I remember Stoop Kids were playing. So I was like, okay, Isaac, you have to get up, engage life. So I remember I went.
So you were pretty damaged.
Oh, my hair fell out, everything. Like my afro just left. I didn't even notice. Like my
Wow.
hairstylist at the time was like, Isaac, where's all your hair? Like I didn't even know it was gone.
Wow,
like-
that really affected.
And I remember
wow.
Chris Chaos.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
of course. Chris Chaos took a picture of me at that Bayou Boogaloo dancing the Stoop Kids,
Mhm.
and that portrait of me, like my hair, I have like almost like no hair. and
I'm
just,
really
like,
sorry that. Okay, so that
Yeah.
I want to click because that I mean we kind of just
Stoop Kids
glossed
lifted
over.
me
No,
up
no.
and
I
got
want.
into the
Hold on,
scene.
wait. I want to go
Yeah,
back to
yeah.
the French court. So because that's a big thing. I didn't.
Mhm.
So thank you for clarifying. I didn't quite understand. I thought there was something more to it or something, but it
Yeah, I understand.
or
yeah.
that somebody I don't know.
because
I don't
it was
quite
such
remember.
a big thing. Like,
But
there was
yeah,
so
that's
much,
really crazy,
was
and
so
that's
much, yeah.
hurtful. So the hopes,
and
that
they
it'll
all
work
hated
out.
me for it, but I knew they would come back around. Cause
But
like,
what did they hate you for though?
well, think of it as the French Quarter Festival, and then it's just like they look at like
But
how
as
you
you
look
said-
at it as a band leader. It's like
Oh, I
they,
see.
Like I
they-
dropped the ball. But
Oh,
I'm like,
I see.
But that
I
was
see.
my main point, though. It's like even if we okay, say we would have gotten a sub, and this is what I was trying to explain to them because of the formula.
Mhm.
If we would have gotten a sub, say we would have done the gig, and everybody would have loved it, even if it wasn't the same to Mister.
Mhm.
Say we found success. Most likely we would have had to change out another band member somewhere down the line, and it would have morphed it again. And then by the time it got
Yeah.
to like big status, it wouldn't have been the same experience for us. So I'm just saying it would have brought the life expectancy of the band down
Maybe.
anyway.
Okay.
Even if we would have ended up playing on MTV or something, I feel like the band would have
bands don't play on MTV anymore, Isaac. I think
that's what I'm saying. Like if it would, I'm just saying if it blew
I
up
understand.
enough to
I'm
play on MTV, and we were playing, and it was like 5 years of this golden, thing. It would have, it wouldn't have been the same.
Now hold up. We can all name many bands that went through personnel change. I mean, James, a huge fan of Fleetwood Mac, we could talk about, went through many iterations in fame. Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac originally, and then he left the band to make room for Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham, who were becoming the bigger personalities. And all of a sudden, that's where Rumors comes from. Yeah. So
that's what I was looking at, though. For what I was doing, I wasn't looking for a Fleetwood Mac type thing, because now if you look at it, most people are looking at, when they think of Fleetwood, they're looking at Stevie. And the personality that I have.
I understand that, but I'm sure that we can also name other examples where, like, or along the way, even the Beatles with Pete Best and everything. They lose a member along the way, and it creates the situation.
Yeah, but it's something different, and to me, it's like,
I'm not saying that what your opinion or desire was wrong. I'm saying there are examples.
It's like Kiss fans, like if you're a Kiss fan, you love Kiss, but your real Kiss is like the 70s, like that short run they had, because now they've got this perfect formula where they just throw paint on your face. Yeah. But we all know it's not like the same. Like, if we looking at Kiss and we're like in our fields, we're gonna go to the 70s.
Sure, I got you.
That's Kiss, baby. Get the firehouse.
I guess I get that. It's trying to maintain the integrity of the
because that's why Green Day is Green Day right now, even after all these years, because it's like.
Or Blink-182 or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But if they had members, I would say that if they had members,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, if Green Day would have, like a band like Green Day, they're still going strong. They just did a new album in 1972 that hasn't come out yet. Yep. But if they, I feel like if they would have changed some stuff, the band might have died. Maybe 10 years later.
What I was going to say is we only know that they're Green Day because of when they became big, or when they had the hit, or when they got signed to the label. All of a sudden they have like the imagery and the promo photos and the music.
And that's how it came out, though. That's
what I'm saying is before that, I don't know specifically about Green Day if they had other members leading up to that point, but there's a point of like fame almost. Or something.
Just like us.
So like
it's just I see what you're saying.
So what I'm saying is, I guess I'm advocating you made the choice, and that was your integrity. From my perspective, though, I would say that we didn't hit that point, that inflection point, so to speak. Yeah. So like that actually, the new person might have been the reason we evolved. Or if you look at Tank and the Bangers, they've gone through a lot of changes over time. In fact, if I understand correctly, they're going through some personal changes right now. I don't know if James, if you've heard anything, or you know what I'm talking about.
I mean, I know that Jelly's no longer with them.
Yeah, that's been happening for a little bit. No, I mean like within the past couple weeks.
And I know it's breaking hearts of some of the fans, and that's what I mean. It's like we were talking about Green Day specifically, like before the fame. Before Green Day, because they've always been singing kids. So before they were even trying to be a band.
Yeah, I don't even know I couldn't name the members.
It was
actually,
they were in high school. It was just Mike and Billy.
Okay. And
because they didn't know Trey, and they had another drummer, but they weren't trying to be like a band, make it.
Okay.
But when Trey came in, because of an elder scene head came in and gave them Trey from their band that was like kicking ass. Then they were like, okay, let's do this. This is gonna be something serious. And since then, that was before Dookie and everything. It's always been like, that's just been the vibe and the thing. That's what kept the boys together all this time. And
I get that.
That's why it's Green
And
Day.
I understand where you're coming from. I told it. There's integrity, artistic, the energy.
It's the relationship, the bond between the people that creates the thing that we want to watch. Like, we want to read about them. If I see them at the grocery store, I'm like, oh, I know you. This is Green Day. This is Mike Dirnt. This is just what it is. And I feel like that's important. So yeah.
So this falls apart. And you were talking about being at Bayou Boogaloo and dancing to Stoop Kids. So was that part of the invigoration for you?
That was trying to get me back out of my funk, because you got to think about it. Because I've always, like I said, I'm always in life, feel everything, but the key is to stay alive.
Yes.
And that's what brings you to the healing, and just coming to you, growing into your person. And so I was like, Isaac, you have to get out and go to something you love. And
that's
I remember,
great. Yeah, you got it.
So
you got to get out of that bed.
Yeah, I did that. And so seeing Stoop Kids.
Your hair fell out. That's wild.
I know.
Man.
It was
sorry.
because it's really serious for me.
Yeah.
When I had breakups back then, like I would get sick. Like I'd be vomiting and everything. Like I'm very sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's good though, because it makes it sweet when I'm on the other end of it, and I don't break down anymore, because I've gotten.
You fixed that. You fixed that. You broke enough to
Yeah, exactly. Broke enough to just be unbreakable and beautiful. So.
Well, that's man, that's really intense. Okay, well, so did you reinvent the Mister later in time, or it just kind of become an umbrella project for you?
Well, what happens after that, because it's always been to this day, it's always going to be what we saw. So, but that doesn't mean I have to keep living. That's
Mhm.
my point. So what I did after that, it was years of Know the Mister, maybe a year or two,
Mhm.
and because 2016, and I was started doing stuff under the Mister again, but just as the Mister was the artistic name, and it was just me like doing songs on my
Sure,
own,
yeah.
but it was inspired by. It was beautiful because like from that whole thing with Bayou Boogaloo with Stoop Kids and running into Chris Chaos, I ended up running into the alt scene, original scene, music scene here
Mhm.
that I didn't even know existed, like the college scene, and it like really got me kicking, and it reminded me of high school when I first discovered rock and roll, when it was first presented to me, because
That's
I
cool.
grew up in a neighborhood and stuff, or how I grew up, we didn't listen to rock music, and if you did hear a rock song, it was only in a movie or something, and you felt like it was just movie music that's happening. You didn't really like listen to it like music, because that's just not how
Mhm.
it was put on us. Like, it's a different. You can see how it could be so dreadful. I didn't
Mhm.
even realize that this amazing thing was happening. And then the music gets presented to me. So being on the scene, after the Mister broke up and I was so in that funk, it brought, like, watching those guys. It brought me back to high school when I first heard rock music, and
That's awesome.
it made me just grab a guitar and learn 3 chords and a bar chord and start writing songs.
Mhm.
And watching these guys do it and be so serious, and to see there's a scene that was the first kind of scene I saw that made me want to do band. And so when I saw that it was right in front of me like that, that rekindled something in me, like lit a child fire in me. And so I would be going, and I remember
Child fire.
that's when the song like Pillow Fight, I
Okay.
wrote that and everything, and this is why all the scene boys are watching me. So they just knew I was killing it at these shows dancing, and I
Okay.
was just everywhere all the time. And then they saw on YouTube and SoundCloud that I
Mhm.
was just recording this music, and they're like, "Oh, this is really good." And so it was kind of like, inspiring for them, and it was just a beautiful bond we had just from that. But they never got to see me play on stage because I didn't have a band. And I remember I tried to create like a rock version. It was under the Mister, but it was a different kind of thing. It was kind of more of a collaborative artist thing.
Okay.
But eventually it came to fruition later when I met Brad Davis, because he was playing with on the scene with Noise Complaints, and he was tied in with the Painted Hands and all these
I don't know
all
those ones.
these
Okay.
hardcore rock. I love it, these rock bands, and
These are New Orleans
mhm,
hardcore
all this
rock
is
bands.
New Orleans. Yeah, I love it so much.
The
And
only ones, do you know Dana Ives?
yes,
Okay,
Yeah.
they've been on the podcast before. They're, I guess,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
friends of ours and everything.
Yeah.
I don't know too many. Oh no, I know some like heavy metal, like Slow Hole and
David's in that band. All
Oh,
those
really?
boys. Yeah, Crap Stacks people, both of them actually.
okay.
Yeah, we got something. We're planning a pool party with them, but for a Joystick Holsters,
nice.
HeartsNDicks Bonds tour, baby.
Yeah, I was going to talk about. Yeah, we're getting there. So, well, actually, let's get there because so Joystick Holster, this is like the new thing. So you kind of were invigorated by this music, and now it's inspired Joystick Holster, right? This
Yeah.
is the new
This is like
the new
that-
form for you.
Yeah, it's like it's finally coming to, because I was trying to, like when we did the artist collaborative in the era of Rise of the Boy Queen, when we got famous for the nudity and everything on the YouTube music videos
Wait,
and all
what?
that stuff.
I have no idea what you're talking about. What are you talking about?
No, it's like during that time we were
I have no.
we were
what-
making a record. Brad was like the producer for it.
When is this?
2019.
Okay.
And
You're
for the
doing nudity on YouTube?
yeah, I didn't know you could. And then I realized
You can?
yeah, you can. Go look at the Mister stuff. Most of those music videos are all like just nudity and everything. It's like just everywhere.
Wow. I didn't know that. I didn't know. I don't know. I thought they flagged stuff.
I did too. I was afraid. In fact, the way we were dropping music videos back then, because I've always been about pure art and just human stuff, which is why the nudity was there, because I felt like we should be comfortable. Like we came in, we used to take baths together. What's wrong with it? That's what I was like. I was like, what's the problem? So I was like, yeah. So
Is
when
it a big bathtub? Is it a little bathtub?
you
What's
remember, you used to take baths with like, oh come on.
I've never taken a bath with another person.
Not even as a child.
This was
I don't
a
think
thing.
Maybe there's like
I
a.
always got
It's like a
bathed with my
I think
cousins and
I think
their
there's a sibling
Right.
bath.
and stuff too, yeah.
Maybe I
There
think
was
there's a couple
nothing
pictures
wrong
of
with
sibling
nudity, like,
bathtubs,
good
but like
grief.
real young. But no, not that's. I mean, I've taken baths with girlfriends, but like that's not in a lot. I'm not a big bath.
Well, that
guy
stuff
to
came
begin
later.
with,
Like
and-
originally, like when we were kids doing stuff that we didn't know about girlfriends and all that shit.
Well, no, I know, but I haven't taken many adult baths. I don't know. Anyway,
But during that's kind of like when stuff like the band, because it was an artist collaborative. So in the studio, it was just me and Brad. Like I'd come in with my acoustic guitar. I've
Okay.
written. We did an album together, Rise of the Boy Queen, and we started doing these music videos.
And where is this available?
All of it, you can find it on YouTube.
So
it's
everything
better.
of yours is basically YouTube. You don't do Spotify, Apple.
Yeah, it's on all that stuff.
it is?
But it's
Okay.
like, I think recently I took it down because I went to focus on bringing everybody to getting the full experience with the
YouTube.
videos and stuff.
And what's
Yeah.
it's the Mister on
It's
YouTube?
easier to go Joystick Holster.
Oh, I'm sorry,
on
Joystick
YouTube,
Holster.
because
Okay.
the Mister's YouTube is also tied to Joystick Holster.
Gotcha. It's like, okay.
So you- yeah,
so
so you can get
Joystick
to all of
Holster is where to find you on YouTube. And
Yeah.
this has this
Everything's
album,
connected,
these
yeah.
nude videos, these
Yeah,
salacious.
and yeah, some of those you can actually just go to the for the nude videos. You
Mhm.
just need to go to the Misters, and it's down at the bottom.
Oh
So you'll
my.
find it,
Okay.
yeah. Oh, actually, no. In the live performances, like for the real kids, it's like it's that same energy because it's the same artist collaborative kind of from that era. We just performed the songs live, and it kind of became more rockish because it was in the middle of COVID, and because we were planning to do a tour, and then COVID happened, the lockdown. So instead, we did it for the real kids, and at that time, it was because of the spirit of the Rise of the Boy Queen era and everything, where I'd just be naked on stage, at some point, because it was just the vibe. I would just be comfortable, and then we
Okay.
were doing that. Like, we
And
just,
what venues were these?
oh, it was at Art Garage. It was
Art Garage.
that was because it was
okay.
that
Yeah,
production.
okay.
Production nowadays, you can do it anywhere. Like Sundown, when Joystick Holster first played, everybody already knew. I showed up in the see-through netted speedo, sponsored by Scotty Vanity. This is actually Scotty's.
hear that.
This is a gift from Scotty, by the way. This hat,
The hat?
The-
Oh,
the-
nice. Cool.
the Gorham Brothers hat here. But yeah, I'm just like a whole canvas of experience here. But yeah,
That's great. I love it. Yeah.
yeah. Actually, this is like the sleeve I'm wearing is from my the time I spent, and the nail polish that evolved actually came from the time I with my Loving the Scene boys on the scene, kind of getting my child fire lit from like the stuff. So I was famous for like
What did-
everybody recognized me because I used to wear it too, but I'm cool now.
Yeah.
I just want to give
remember- I
room
remember
for
you
all the
doing the
stuff.
sleeves,
Yeah, I had
yeah.
the sleeves, and they recognized me because I'm like, here comes that guy with the fro with
What
the
do you mean by
sleeves.
child fire? Like
'Cause they
your inner
I
child?
was back in high school when I first when I
Gotcha.
first heard punk,
I
because I didn't
see.
hear
It-
that before, and I was like,
I
yeah, and it
see,
just
I
lit me
see.
up.
So that like the reigniting
yeah,
inspiration
because I remember the simple
that
stuff.
you were injected with earlier at an earlier age. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, it's reigniting
because
that
that
passion.
was authentic. Yeah,
early passion. Okay.
because all the other music that I was introduced to, I loved it and I heard it, but it was more so because it was already playing. I was developing, and I was hearing that, and I was raised with it. But rock and roll was perfect for me, like punk specifically, because I hadn't heard it before. But when I heard it, it was like, whoa, and it's like I never heard it before, but for some reason it felt like it was in my blood.
Mhm.
It was just, I
Well, so
got it.
Child fire is a good punk
Yeah.
band.
The childlike fire is that.
Yeah.
No, I get it. But Child Fire is a really good punk
Oh,
name.
Child
Yeah.
Punk
Fire.
band
Child
name. Yeah,
Fire,
it's
great
a
punk
punk
band
punk
name.
band name. Child Fire.
Well, I think,
Yeah,
I think that's also
Child
something
Fire.
that's like very a lot of people experience that and maybe don't know how to put words to it.
Yeah.
Having that childlike fire reignited, that
Yeah.
passion, that 'cause
Mhm.
there's really not much more pure of passion, I think, than you
Yeah.
experience whenever you're young.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
everything
That's what I mean,
everything
yeah, that
burns hotter
inspiration.
whenever you're
Yeah,
a
I
little
It's
know.
true, yeah,
And that's
it's
how I
also
live.
meaningful.
That's
You don't.
why-
It's yeah.
Yeah, that's why my heart, when it breaks, it's broken because I've always been like, I just been approaching it this child way, like staying like that.
That's hard. Yeah, it's hard to. I mean,
Yeah.
well, there's a magic to it too. There's a
Yeah.
I don't know,
Because
that's-
it brings everybody along. Like even when you break down, it's like it helps people because we all go through the same stuff. It's just like when we grow up or attempt to man up and grow up and stuff like
Mhm.
that, it makes us kind of like
it staunches that high end of that
Mhm.
emotion. That's the high, that's
Yeah.
like you said before. It's like whenever you experience the lows, yeah, it sucks. But the other end of that, being able to experience those emotions,
Yeah,
and, those
and that's
things,
what
the
life
opposite end of
is.
that is
Yeah.
is so liberating and so high quality.
Yeah.
It's such a high quality emotion to be able to experience the spectrum like that.
yeah.
Mm.
And that's why we enjoy watching dramas and stuff because it's like they just put that stuff into art, but we love it. And that's because that's like,
yeah.
so that's like your favorite movie. Like if someone breaks your heart, what are they going to do? They're going to go put in that movie and they're going to eat that ice cream because they want to see that romantic movie or something. It's like, because that's what life, that's life. That's what we should be doing. Like I say, life is a movie right now. It's a whole
That's
movie.
funny.
I say my life is like Dawson's Creek, actually.
I go out. I go out and get sweaty drunk. That's what I do when
Exactly.
I get heartbroken.
Yeah, and all you have to do is harness. Like you have, I'm a super
Try to get
like
laid.
Dragon Ball franchise fan, so it's like
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Super where Goku.
I know. I see.
Yeah,
You got the
exactly.
things,
He
you got
gets
the talismans or like
Yeah.
pins or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it goes into like he gets the Super Saiyan God energy
Mm-hmm.
like from like this ritual, but then he like figures out a way to harness it for himself, and it just opens up a whole new spectrum of power. Now you have Dragon Ball Super, so it's like sweaty drunk. like you have to like harness the power of sweaty drunk Steve when you're sober and figure out how to stay that way, but being sober. And it's like, whoa, now life is different.
Yeah, trying.
Life is different.
Trying. Get there one day.
That's an interesting thought, though, because it's like maybe that's part of what that childlike fire you were talking
Exactly,
about.
it
Exactly,
is.
that
Because
piece
all
of
that stuff just
passion
loosens
is
us up.
part
You
of
know,
it.
it just loosens you up, and because you never change from the kid you are. You just learn how to mask it or man up to be professional, or be stoic, and
Sure.
keep it under control. But
Mhm.
now I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I just let it be what it is, and it just, through experience, it develops into functional society. So it's
Mm.
like, now I can just be little Tommy, and it's cool. And it's like, I know my name's Isaac, but little Tommy is perfect because it explains. It's like it's like if you look at where it came from, you can
Mhm.
just see my whole story from my name. It's like, oh, he's that guy who always falls in love with the boy, and it's like this whole drama that happens. Now he's
Mm.
just wearing the fucking name of the last one that was like because I never have my heart broken ever again now, because it's like I can't. It's just perfect. I get the language for perfect. I know how to communicate.
Okay.
I know the rapport. I know the relationship, the energy. I know my place. It's perfect. So it's cool. So yeah.
I'm glad you found that.
Yeah,
me too, man.
because I have to be me. I have to contribute. Like if I be less than me, then I'm not as, I don't have as much worth, or, I'm not as useful or enjoyable. I'm not contributing all of me. And that's why I love band, because it's like, I feel like everybody in the band should be able to give all of them. And that's what makes it, like, everybody offers these, like everybody in the band.
The dynamic. Everyone has
Everybody in the band can do their whole solo album by themselves. And they just come in and they contribute everything they can do with their solo album. They figure out a way to feel fulfilled.
I get that. And to
yeah.
add on to something I said, I totally understand that about the Mister and
Yeah.
your feelings about that in the past. I completely get it. Then when the dynamic and the personalities are just as much a part of the band, and people gravitate towards those that are big fans.
It's like your favorite show, and then they just fire, like you're watching not saying it's your favorite show, but you're watching 2.5 Men, and then they fire Charlie Sheen. And then
exactly. That's a big part of why people are.
This is a whole different show.
That's a great, main character's gone. Yeah, that's very true.
This is different.
I want to ask, because we got to start wrapping things up soon, so I want to ask about this Hearts and Dicks tour.
Yeah,
but you also write a Hearts and Dicks Bonds tour, so what does that mean?
Because I say the Bonds tour part so you can really see what I mean.
What's the Bonds?
Like
What is all this, by the way? Hearts and Dicks.
So
What
Hearts
is
and
this?
Dicks, baby.
This is Joystick Holsters tour, but where are the dates, where you play, like what's going on? I haven't seen.
So let me explain the concept first.
Go.
So the concept is this, with Bonds tour.
Mm-hmm.
You know how when you tour in a band, it's usually like, okay, I'm going to play in Philly, I'm playing in New York, I might have a band that I'm playing with, we're on the same bill and we're going to all these places. So that's a tour. You're touring places.
Yeah.
So this is touring relationships with people that I've met. It could be from a band out of town. It could be from local people.
Oh.
And so we hook it up where it's like, it's very unique to our relationship, like the dynamic, whether it's 2 bands, 3 bands, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then from that, it's like we book a venue or whatever, or make it a house party based on what's meaningful to how we met and how our relationship is. Like what actually means something, because now it's a whole event. It's like, oh, wow, like it's a theme, it's cool, and it's not necessarily about the music. It's about the bond. So it's like us right now, how we're just chilling, having fun, enjoying each other's company, drinking this super yeeted up coffee and everything.
It's good iced coffee, James.
It's like
Actually,
boys, like it's
Rachel.
like what our bonds are. Like we like to do this kind of thing, and we also play music, and that's a big part of us.
Yeah.
So it's like we're doing this, and then we're playing music, and we're enjoying it. I might jump out and on someone's shoulders in the middle of their set. Some people may feature. It doesn't matter. We're just having a good bond thing, and it's like the event, the special, the attraction is how we are when we hang it out.
So the show is a reflection or a representation of the relationship that you have with the people that are that are playing
and so
on
each
that
one's
show.
unique. Everyone's unique, and it's like we even like the first show we did.
So it's an emotional tour.
Exactly, because it's just me. That's my contribution. So that's what makes it unique.
So it's not a locational tour.
Yeah, and exactly, but it can be anywhere, because I've met so many bands and so many people from all over the place. And I've actually, a part of this Bonds tour, I've contacted a number of them, like directly from all over.
Like bonds, like you have a bond with
Yeah,
somebody.
because you have to think about it.
With Hearts and Dicks, I thought it was like a bondage thing. I thought
for some of them it is, because actually the name, the title, Hearts and Dicks, is more like it's exactly what you think it means. It's like, but it's like I said, like speaking volumes. So it's like it's also like it works uniquely with what you going through at the time. So it's like Hearts and Dicks may seem like to be like, because the music, the theme, it's like one of those Green Day albums or something, whereas like the whole theme is about like, you know, this boy and his relationship with this person, and it goes to shit or it's great and it's ups and downs. Saint Jimmy comes out, so it's like the whole set is like that, and it's about a real, you know, bond that's happening, and a lot of it is about Big Tommy actually, but there's other stuff that happens. But and it's like a lot of covers that mean stuff, and it's like, you know, all this different stuff mixed with the original music, and wait, where was I going? So I'm gonna blow up and get excited about everything.
Talking about Hearts and Dicks.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so the like the name itself, like it could be like hearts, as in like for me being super sensitive, emotional, loving, and then dicks could be like, you know, at some point it's like, you know, you're such a dick, like, you know, like, you know, and then the other one's like literally like if you like when it's all good, it's like Hearts and Dicks. It's more so exactly how it sounds. Like, you know, when you're in love, like, you know, making love with someone that you love, it just makes it, that's the real experience, you know, that's the room shaking thing, that's just like emotional. It's great, so much things happen, and it's like stuff that you don't even have to think about. It's amazing. And so it's like, you know, and so it's like, it's more so about like just love, and it's like, but it's very personal and specific to my life. So it's like, you know, and how we all are bonded in that whole thing. And so it's like Hearts and Dicks is also on a positive note, just about that bond. And it's like, instead of like manning up or being stoic, it's just saying, you know what, this my contribution, the contribution is actually exactly what this is. Little Tommy and
it's
his,
like bringing that childlike fire to the stage.
And it's completely Dawson's Creek, and we love it because it's Dawson's Creek. Like, are they gonna break up again, or is he gonna finally like kiss this? But you know, it's like this.
I love the idea that the drama that is interesting to say, something to state, is the dichotomy of that drama that you experience whenever you watch shows like that. It's like that they're trying to simulate those childlike fire feelings of burning passion and emotion.
That's why I like,
you know, getting together and breaking up and all that. All
yeah,
that stuff.
exactly,
like
and all that's in there. It's like there's even this thing like if people are trying to, if you're trying to follow with the tour or just kind of get inside more wrapped up into what's going on, like a soap opera or like a video game that you don't know about. You know, there's this thing called Hearts and Dicks mag. And it's a mag, baby. Like, yeah, you get it. It's a mag, baby. Well, it's like it's like a social media kind of thing, so it's easily accessible. So I have it like it's a real mag, and it's like it follows through the whole tour, like and everything as it's going. And it's gonna be one issue, so it's almost like a tour book. So once the tour is finally finished, you know, you have this whole, you know, the mag that goes with it.
Do you have any dates?
Yeah. Okay. So like I said, we already started.
Yeah, that's right.
And but right now, so what we're doing. It's perfect because the way the dynamic on the scene has been, I want to make sure it's the same specific personal bonds type thing.
Sure.
We everything was so spontaneous. Like everything, you know, you'd be hanging out at a bar or you'd go to the show and you meet another band, and next thing you know, like because your friends are playing at every fucking venue there is, like they'll add you to a bill, so you don't even have to know the booking agent. And next thing you know, 2 weeks from now, you're playing at Gasa Gasa or the Willow with, you know, these other two bands, your boys, you know, and you're doing that. So with this tour, it's literally like that. We've been just kind of like running into each other and say, you know what, we should just go ahead and break this and play a gig. So like right now we're booking, we're planning the next 2 hits, I should say.
Sure.
One of them is actually is an indie party, we're calling it, with Coffin Wolf Ultra, another scene band, history. Like a long history that spans from Mobile and all this different stuff. And actually one of the guys, Corey Johnson, was in the Rise of the Boy Queen era nudity videos kind of thing. He's like one of the Mr. Video stars. He's like right there with me every time, baby. Let's go. But yeah, so like that's like it's like a 4th of July kind of thing, but it's like independent because it's like our own like individual personal independence. Like it's so punk rock, you know. It's like
a house party thing.
We're actually we're kind of playing. We're planning it more so like that. And another one, like I mentioned, like with Crap Stacks and Hey Thanks, who are actually at the end of their tour right now. They were because we've got a lot of history. Like my goodness, they're like a pop punk band, but they're doing other music, like they're playing with other styles. It's Travis's fault. Travis Opal, it's your fault, and you know it. It's like they're going more into like more what is it? It's like some other kind of like poppy kind of stuff. They always you just have to listen to it. It's like yeah.
Okay.
Like sometimes it gets a little R&B-ish, but it's like it's kind of different, funky here and there.
So
But it's still. But anyway, I'm
sounds
sorry.
okay.
Yeah, but we're planning like a pool party at the Drifter right now.
Oh,
So
good.
it's all this
Cool.
stuff. It's like so we're
Do
like
you have
we're-
an idea of when that will
yeah,
be?
yeah, we're picking up, like I said, the 4th of July thing, and we're picking up. We were okay. So originally we were about to book it in June, but we may push it to be like closer to the 4th of July type, like in July
Sure,
or
that's
something like that,
great,
because
yeah.
it's a summer pool party, kind of like at the Drifter.
Yeah.
So we're
That's
doing
awesome.
that. Yeah. So we're getting, and then like I said, if you in the Hearts and Dicks mag, anything on social media that you follow, you'll find it, because like on YouTube, on the Joystick
Mhm.
Holsters YouTube,
So
it's on the banner and everything.
So people
you'll
can
follow.
find you on Instagram, the Mr.
Mhm.
Period,
The
right?
Mr.
That's
Period,
that's your
yes.
thing. Does Joystick Holster have a social media thing?
It's
or is
all
it's
under
all
the
under
Mr..
the Mr.
Yeah.
Period, and then and then also on YouTube. That's where most of
Yeah.
the stuff is.
Most of the stuff's there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it all links
Under-
to everything else, because
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
and it's all clear, so you'll be able to find it.
I love that you're doing a party at the Drifter, because
Yeah.
it seems like that's the perfect place for you to do all this kind of stuff.
Yes,
That's
it
what I'm
is,
saying.
yeah.
The
'Cause
vibe,
it's
like
like-
the whole.
There's
like,
definitely hearts and dicks at the
It's
Drifter. that's for
personal.
sure.
Hearts and Dicks
It's
are definitely
personal.
at the Drifter.
It's real, because
And some
they
bonds.
already know what I'm gonna do, and
That's
they're like,
fantastic.
yeah. So it's so you feel like it's a real event. It's
Yeah.
like you were hanging out for real,
Mhm.
and you just come up there and it's like yeah. But yeah, bands that we're like planning with, we got to get the Crooked Vines on this thing, because
Sure.
we've got history, baby.
That's
So
true.
it's like
yeah. We do. I'd love to do a Drifter gig. I'm on that train. I know.
That's
yeah.
right.
Drifter is a very cool spot. Shout out to them for cultivating
If
a
we
really,
can,
really
yeah,
cool space.
I'd do that.
And it's
for
even
sure.
crazier because okay, so we've got during the Boy Queen era, we
Uh-huh.
got famous for all the hotel parties. We did a music video with for This Is the Last Time, and we did part of the video was shot at the Roosevelt, and the after party was also in the Roosevelt.
Oh, nice.
But it's so rock and roll. We destroyed that room. But anyway, I was so scared to check my email after that. Like seriously, but the Roosevelt, they're so.
Well, as you know, you just
Scared-
you just
scared to
ignore
check
the
your
email.
email
No,
after.
as he
Ignore
knows,
it,
you just
exactly.
ignore the email. They'll never find you.
Well, but my thing is, I love the Roosevelt, so I knew I would want to come back.
Oh, there you go.
So I
yes.
was like, they
Ah.
know my name and everything. They're like, so I didn't want to get banned from the Roosevelt.
That's why you pick a new name.
But they're so, they really,
Just keep cycling.
they're all about discretion. So
Sure.
like the whole time, so it was perfect. So like the whole time we were there, nobody complained about anything, not about headboards or anything. Nobody complained about anything, and it's like yeah. So it was
Good.
cool. So it's like so it's like with the Drifter, there's hotel rooms and everything. So we got a full party.
Ooh,
It's
shit.
a full. That's what I'm saying. It's not necessarily just about the music.
It's an experience.
it's
It's a
the
scene.
experience.
It's
Yeah.
a fully immersive scene that you're
Exactly.
jumping into.
That's why
music,
Hearts
the
and
music
Dicks
is just
is
one
perfect.
piece of it.
Yeah.
It's so
That's-
perfect for experience.
And that is definitely what the Drifter is great for. It's I
Yeah.
mean, even if there's not a show at the Drifter, it's somewhat of an immersive experience.
Right,
going
because
there.
we all
Yeah,
go
it's-
there
yeah, it's
even when
fun.
there's nothing going on, or they just
Yeah,
have
I've been there,
DJs or
yeah.
something. Yeah,
I've been there when I didn't know
hang
there was
out.
going to be a show, and there was a show. You know, it's like
it's a hang, baby.
it's a hang. It's a
Yeah.
cool spot.
And that's
what,
what we were doing.
what do you have coming up? What's the next thing, people? Right. Obviously, we're live right now,
Yeah.
but this audio episode I think will come out Tuesday the 30th because I have so many stacked up. So I know the audio will actually come out later. But what do you have coming up that people can catch you at? What's next on the docket?
The
ones you're
perfect
talking
thing
about?
to do is to go to social media and
Go to
follow
social
the
media.
Hearts and Dicks mag, because,
Okay.
like I said, we have these dates going on, and right
Mhm.
now the pool party we're probably going to push a little later.
Okay.
It
cool.
might be in June, but like I'm saying, but
Okay.
these things.
So we're looking. So the
'cause-
next thing
yeah.
to catch is June, maybe July. Okay.
July is the best bet for if you're
Sure.
looking for that.
Okay.
But like I said, for details, because it's going to be super personal for how we met. Because Coffin Wolf Ultra is so grimy, really like, and when I mean grimy, I mean it's like it's real like wholesome kind of
Mhm.
kind of thing. So like we meet up because originally, well, a lot of times they have their own headquarters, which is a beautiful house that has a basement. That's rare in the city,
Mhm.
and it's like a sizable stage and everything where they
That's
have
cool.
full on shows. But we're gonna change it up a bit. We're not gonna do it there. We're gonna do something else, but it's still gonna be the same kind of vibe. But that's even better because it's like just how because like we do a show out and there's like this abandoned place out. It's like a generator show
Mhm.
that's in City Park. And it's kind of like vibes like that. So it's so scene, so hangout. So for
Okay.
that specifically, it's going to be something like that. So for the details, for that one specifically, because it's probably not going to be like, your typical venue,
Mhm.
it's easier to follow that Hearts and Dicks mag. And perfect too, because Hearts and Dicks mag is just like listening to this podcast because you're going to have all the drama, all the details,
Okay.
everything, pictures,
Okay.
everything.
Cool. Well, I love it. Okay, cool. Well, everyone, there you go. Go to YouTube, go to Mr. Period on Instagram and all the social media. And yeah, man. Well, little Tommy,
Yeah.
Isaac, thank you so much for joining us today and hanging out with us and catching up everyone on this thing. I'm glad we could finally make it work. I know you hit me up before
know.
about it. So, all right, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in and stay crooked. And And thank you all the people tuning in live. We appreciate you, YouTube and Instagram. We're going to shut it all down, so we'll catch you next time, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.